Hello and welcome to the Weekly Scroll brought to you here on the Adventure Archive. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Hunter.
And today we will be talking about Necronautilus, the wonderful stoner metal game from Adam Vass at World Champ Games. I got the special edition cover.
I don't.
Yeah. So very excited for this. I really enjoy Adam Vass's stuff a lot. And for those that don't know, he is World Champ Games. He is all of it. He is the artist, the writer, the editor, the creator, the distributor, like all of it is just him. So a lot of respect. He puts out a lot of stuff. We'll go over a little bit more of that as we dig into Necronautilus and talk a little bit more Adam Vass and stuff in general. But we're going to start the stream like we do every week by kickstarting the stream. I gotta come up with a better way to say that.
Today we're gonna kickstart the stream, everyone. There we go. You know,
on the stream today, we're kickstarting the stream, friends. Yeah. Also, sitting yourself on your video, man. A little more. Oh, right there. Perfect. Look at you.
I'm in the rolly chair, rolls around. I don't know where I'm at, you know?
I can't say anything. I don't understand. I watch streams of people that like sit still for 10 hours playing a video game, and I can't go more than 30 seconds without literally like basically jumping off screen. So I'm right there with you.
Oh, yeah.
So I got like 4 things to quickly talk about. And then do you have anything that you want to talk about today?
I have nothing, actually. I'm waiting for some projects to drop, but like everything else, I haven't really backed anything. So it's all you.
Gotcha.
It's all you, baby.
Well, you know what I also need to first start about? Oh gosh. Is something I actually physically received in the mail. I am trying to literally just look it up on here so I can show the stream the physical part of it, or at least the digital part. Here it is. Putrescent Regnant. Oh my god. This is a vinyl from Merkborg. I got 2 because, of course, anyone that's listened to this by now knows if there's a special edition, I have to have it. This is a noisome Merkborg bog crawl is what it is. And let's go back to slightly bigger. I know you guys out in podcast land can't see this, but look at these. Look at them. It's frickin' vinyls.
Wow.
They are just, oh my god, stupid beautiful. So this is the regular cover. It is a just amazing piece of art from Johan Nohr, with a giant sword going through it. I'm scared to take it out of the protective plastic. I did, and then immediately put it back in the plastic, and then there's the back. But inside is a massive adventure, probably 3 to 4 sessions realistically, plus the vinyl, plus a bunch of other stuff in here that's just gorgeous.
Very
and
cool.
then
I did not realize there was an adventure with it.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's what I literally talked to you about yesterday about running the adventure that's inside it. I'll crack open one of these real quick. But this is the alt cover. It's completely black with just a silver foil rib cage on the front. And then it's got even a different back and everything too. It's beautiful. And then the vinyls themselves are different. I can go back to the Kickstarter page itself and show you the 2 separate different vinyls. So yeah, here is what it basically breaks down as. The gatefold cover is got random encounters and monsters. There's a map inside. There's player maps. There's an 8-page booklet with the entire adventure in it, plus the vinyl. This is not what mine looks like. Looking at the limited edition one, I'm pretty positive it does not. It's more like a blue-white. When I say this, I mean it's like a cyan and purple on the Kickstarter page. But my regular vinyl is a oh no, it is. It's just a lot of white mixed in with it too. So this is the special edition version of the vinyl. It is
very cool.
Yeah, it's got purples and blues and whites on it. And now that I have it out, I might as well show you everything that's inside. We'll go back to the bigger window again for those.
Man, play that bitch, you know? Let's just make this a listening party.
Yeah. So inside, so this is the cover itself on the inside. So these are random encounters and things there. This is a full map of the adventure. Yeah. And then here is a massive 8-page booklet for the entire adventure. Like, look at this. It's gorgeous. Again, all of you listening in podcast land, come check out the VOD, or even look at the Kickstarter page. The art in this, I mean, again, it's Johan Noor just doing what he do, and it's amazing. And then I'm not going to pull out the regular vinyl. Suffice to say, it's all the same, except the cover and then the vinyl record itself. But of course, I had to get both. I do believe, I hope I'm not pre-announcing this too early. We do run a pretty regular Merkborg game on Thursdays, just arc by arc. And I do believe our wonderful DM Jason does in fact plan to run the adventure from this here on the Adventure Archive. So that is something to look forward to. And then the actual sleeve of the vinyl itself is another piece of it is the Gilded Wolf. It's another little thing here you got to check out. So that is one of the things that I got. It's an actual in-person physical Kickstarter reward, not just things that we're talking about backing or spending too much money on. And it took a while to get here. Global supply chains, all of that crap. But let me tell you, it's worth it. I don't know if I'll ever have a vinyl as beautiful as this and just as, I don't know, like, you're never going to get another bog crawl Merkborg adventure vinyl. Or maybe you will. Merkborg, please make another one.
The stuff that they create is so crazy. Like the amount of content, like the overall just like artistry to what they create is honestly out of this world, you know?
It is. Well, and the other part of it too is that a lot of it is third party. They're so pro third party that like so the Ferritory book, which is right here, is actually mostly community content, because they used to run a thing, I can't remember what it's called, but you can find it on their website, where the community could submit things, and if Merkborg liked it enough, they would actually format it, and Johan Noor would do art for it and resubmit it as part of like the Merkborg cult, like official. It's kind of like DM's Guild Adept kind of stuff, but for Merkborg. It's basically like official Merkborg approved content that they even like do art for. And the other thing too is you can go into Merkborg's Discord channel and just like Johan Noor is just like hanging out in there. And there's times where people have like dropped, hey, here's a really cool project I'm working on it, and Johan Noor has just been like, cool, why don't I do a cover? Just cause. Like I think that's what happened with the Troll King book. So yeah, Merkborg knows everything about Merkborg is fantastic. The game is great. The community is pretty awesome. The creators themselves seem like super badass. They're a super pro gamer. They're super pro, like just doing whatever you can with their system. And I'll put this back in the plastic later. It freaks me out though. We'll do it on the break. But yeah, so that's the first part of Kickstart the Stream. Yeah, I showed you all that physical, so we don't need to do this anymore. So there's another one I'm definitely not backing, but I thought was weird and interesting. Even just a cover art. It's called King Tut's Rootin' Tootin' Weird West Extravaganza. And the covers look like...
What the fuck is that title? You know?
So there's a whole genre of just like weird fantasy stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah. Where they just do like the weirdest OSR shit they can. And I'm pretty sure this falls into that. But the cover looks like a super buff pink mummy, like with a cowboy hat flying off, punching an equally buff like green zombie looking creature right in the face, just square in the jaw. It says Planet X Games is back with an all-new, all-different zine dedicated solely to resources for your wild, weird West role-playing game. King Tut's, etc., is a cover-to-cover 48-page zine in the OSR style, devoted strictly to cool new scenarios, badass NPCs, supernatural items from the frontier, all new monsters and challenges, unique locations, and weird West resources for your tabletop games. So it's an OSR zine for weird Western stuff.
And that's cool. Like, I like weird Westerns. There's something about this that I'm just like, I don't really care about this one.
Yeah. So we won't go over that too much. It is not funded, and it only has 3 days to go. It's at 3,824 out of... No, it's way funded. It only needed a 500, not a 5,000 goal. Yeah. So it's way overfunded. It's only got 3 days left. If you like Weird West OSR, this looks weird and Western and OSR, so it might be right up your alley. One of the other ones today was also a kind of Western thing. It's more that 5e. Again, I think we talked about it last week. The last 2 months on Kickstarter, if you're into 5e settings and stuff, you are eating good.
No kidding.
This is yet another one. It's called Shotguns and Sorcery, a 5e source book. It's a fantasy noir setting created by New York Times bestselling author Matt Forbeck. And it's a mix of high fantasy and hard-boiled noir, filled with wizards and freelancers who skulk through dungeons and creep through globe-lit streets. They hang out in speakeasies after raiding zombie-infested tombs and carry pistols as well as wands. Not my thing, but looked weird and interesting.
Yeah, it seems okay. It's funny because I like weird Westerns, but this just isn't Western enough.
No, exactly.
It's too fantasy for me.
So I don't know if this specific one is supposed to be Western as much as it's supposed to just be like noir.
Okay, yeah.
So because they talked about like globe lit streets and pistols, but with your hanging out in speakeasies after raiding a zombie tomb. Yeah, it went back in the plastic. Fuck yeah. All right.
You've been working on that this whole time?
Yeah, I'm going to put those in a vault next. I'm never going to play it. It's just going to sit there forever. Anyways, I'm talking about the vinyl again. It's beautiful. But yeah, it's not for me.
It's for someone. I mean, it looks good. It looks well made. It looks interesting. The map is very cool. The art looks really good. It's definitely someone's game.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I was looking at it at all is this part here. Shotguns and Sorcery spawned a lot of fun things already. It's a series of stories and novels from Matt Forbeck, who worked on D&D, Halo, Minecraft Dungeons, and Biomutant. It's a complete tabletop role-playing game by Rob Schwab, who wrote a lot of D&D 5e, but also did a thing that I talk about all the time that I really want to cover one time, Shadow the Demon Lord. And it uses Monty Cook's Cypher system. Oh,
hey, I love the fucking Cypher system.
I know. We might go over parts of it someday. But I think we've talked about this. My focus here is a lot of smaller... like more indie OSR stuff, and occasionally tossing in maybe like a DCC or a Cypher or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's
But Shadow the Demon Lord is one that
so cool right now too.
It's so cool.
It's cool, like on the Kickstarters that we talk about, these like really big projects that really feed into 5e and these bigger games. But like, there's so much, especially going back to like World Champion, like Adam Vass. Like, there's so much cool, small, like artsy zine stuff. It's like this whole new punk art scene that's just it's very cool,
dude. If you have my dream is to make a game. I'm working on one, and have it on Exalted Funeral. Just a zine on Exalted Funeral. 5.5 or 8.5 zine on Exalted Funeral. That's my dream. Die happy.
Do you see this behind me, by the way? Do you see this?
I do see your terrible, disgusting...
for those of you in podcast land, and actually those of you who are watching, like, as Ryan is like trying to stuff his like vinyls back in the plastic, and you see me kind of looking around. We're actually fostering a bunch of kittens right now.
Not we. We don't live in the same spot. He.
But So if you see me like looking down or like swatting at something, it's because I'm streaming from my office, and there's 5 kittens running around, and they're like 6 weeks old, and they love to destroy stuff. So
Sounds like my hell.
they're real cute though.
Yeah.
So I'm the father of cats.
That is why you are the father. What when they're all gone? Are you gonna be like not that anymore?
When they're all gone, I still have 5 cats.
That's a terrible life. Anyway,
Yeah,
the next one we're going to talk about is called Tournament of Pigs. This one's interesting. It is a relaunch. I didn't back it before, but I had my eye on it for a while. I hadn't decided whether I was going to back it or not, but it started to wind down and wasn't close to being backed or being funded.
Right.
I didn't back it. It relaunched. It immediately got a lot. The other thing too is I don't know if it just didn't get enough spread or what happened with it. But a lot of people were upset that it didn't back. But I think Kickstart is one of those things, like, if it doesn't back in the first, like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 days, a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't look like it will, so I won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So
Absolutely.
I honestly think this is what happened with this adventure here. But it is called Tournament of Pigs. It is for 5e and DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics. It is a relaunch. It is funded. It needed 20 grand. It got 21,893 so far. So it just got funded not too long ago. It is
Still
a medieval
19 days to go as well. So.
Yeah. So, and again, I think it had a 30-day one. So, it definitely funded at the very least, which is fantastic for them. It is a medieval competitive adventure. Commoners compete to survive 12 daily events to be declared winner. It is actually, if it's the same as it was before, unless it completely changed it, it is a 0 level adventure. You are literally a commoner. You're not even an adventurer. You're just a fucking commoner. Yeah. And so it kind of reminds me of like a funnel adventure. You know what I mean? Where it's just totally. Like, yeah. So Tournament of Pigs is an unforgettable adventure that has players taking the role of commoners trapped in medieval game show competition. The 12 events test luck and skill, but also creativity and improvisation. Do you think you can cook a cake good enough for the king? How good are you at wrestling greased piglets? Can you outrun an aberration while tied to another hapless contender? One of the things I really like about this is I feel like sometimes, especially in 5e, because as we know and we talked about a bunch, 5e is about being a hero and becoming a god. Like that. Right. That's just, yeah. But when you're a 0 level character and you're just a fucking commoner, it really takes out all of that shit. You know what I mean? Like this, there's absolutely. No. Yeah, this sounds like there's no combat. It sounds like it's all like super basic skills. You're not worried about like 18 different like spells you have to cast or a ton of different class features you have to remember or all this other bullshit. It's the game with stripped down, I think is what it is, what it feels like to me. And that seems really cool. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to play it.
Back this, actually.
Yeah, if you back it, we'll go over it. So it is a 0 level adventure. So oh wow, there's even a 0 level rulebook supplement.
Yeah, they have a 0 level rulebook.
That's awesome. So there's a whole breakdown here on rolling 0 level characters, starting the tournament, tournament scoring, all the events that you get to play, semi-cooperative play. You get a lot. It's a whole box set. So you get card decks. You get a box. Which, listen, the other thing, if special edition will always get me, but if it's in a box, let me tell you what, it's hard to send into a box.
It's so contained. It's so much easier to store, you know? And there's also cool art on the box.
Not only that, you get these like card standees. I love this shit. Listen, at some point I'll post pictures of all my miniatures. It's a lot. It's too many. But I love standees and stuff. Like back in when I read a bunch of old D&D stuff, a lot of the adventures came with cardboard sheets or even just paper sheets with things printed on it. You can just print out the minis you need for it. And 5e really got away from that. I think 3.5 when they started doing the minis really got away from it. But if you have an adventure where I can literally just print out a double-sided thing with characters on it, fold over the bottom a little bit and stick it on a board, you got a leg up for me. Like that means you're pushing it. It's for the players. It's not for you to make money. You just print a piece of paper so I can have cool art on a standee, not push, by the way, here also you can buy these $600, miniatures that'll be every adventure in the thing, or everything in the game. But It looks super neat. Like I said, you can get, and then again, of course, just like all Kickstarters, there's like 18 different things you can back. Including, I know I just said this, but there is a set with, they got bones, miniatures, and stuff in it too. But it looks really neat. And the highest tier to get you everything, including the box set, the miniature horde, the 0 level rule book, everything is only like $70. So I've seen people get a lot less for a lot more money on Kickstarter. So it looks neat. And then there's a ton of add-ons like t-shirts and stuff like that. Man, I might even just back it at like $1 to get this spicy owlbear t-shirt. Look at that. It's a dope little owlbear. And that rust monster is pretty nice too. Oh, the bloodstained metal dice.
Very cool.
So anyway, yeah, Tournament of Pigs. Check it out. For 5e, DCC, 0 level adventure. Looks really, really cool. And I think I only have one more to talk about this morning. And it is Planebreaker from Monty Cook for 5e. Explore exotic alternate planes with this 5e tome from legendary RPG designers Bruce Cordell, Sean Reynolds, and Monty Cook. This looks really neat. It looks like a Planescape adjacent game system, and it's Monty Cook, so you know that it's like top tier. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of stuff that he's put out that sucks. So
yeah, totally. No,
yeah.
The stuff is pretty good. His lore is really great as well. If it's not, it's a little involved sometimes because especially like Planescape had its own like lingo, and I'm a huge Monty Cook fan. So
yeah, I'm
really
a fan. Great. I do have the Tolus book. Oh, it's off screen right there. It is literally one city, and the book is like I don't know, like 600-700 pages. And then you get all of the 3rd edition stuff too when you back that Kickstarter. So I got like literally like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of lore.
Oh, very cool.
For one giant, cool, quasi-evil mega city. And I got a vinyl map that's like 4 feet tall. So eventually if we run that, we'll be able to play on that, or it'll be pinned up on the wall. But anyway, so Planebreaker, a cursed moon hurtles through the multiverse, crashing from one plane to the next, never at rest, forever fleeing a catastrophe that predates existence itself. The Planebreaker visits all planes, all worlds, and all dimensions. Gods and demons, angels and mortals, undead and outsiders alike, all eventually see it streak across their realm. Some worlds visited by the moon are known to sages and planes travelers, but in a multiverse stretching across epochs, the number of previously uncatalogued planes is vast. The Planebreaker races through all of them in time. So it's literally this moon-sized structure of unknown debris, but it will break through literally every facet of the multiverse, leaving a trail behind that people can actually follow along, called the Path. So it looks super interesting, and like Hunter said, it's Monty Cook, so you know the lore is going to be deep in it. It's just, you know, I mean, look at this alt cover with like the black, and then it's got like the red foil across the top. I mean, but it's supposed to have playable species, feats, magic items, spells, subclasses, monsters, a ton of stuff. It's you know, standard Monty Cook. Fare, you get a lot.
Hey, there's a special edition cover though. You have to get it now.
I fucking know, man. That's the problem. And you can get it as 5e or Cypher.
Dude, I would play Cypher with this. I definitely would.
So I actually got the Tolus book, I think, in Cypher. I got digital of both 5e and Cypher, but I'm pretty positive that my Tolus book came as Cypher because I wanted to do something that wasn't 5e, and if I ever played Cypher, I was like, why would I not play this? So if I was going to get like a digital version of this, I'd probably get the digital 5e and Cypher. Yeah, Path of the Planebreaker Deluxe Edition cover, red foiling. Monty, killing me here. But if you want the top tier reward, it's like $350 basically, plus a fuck ton of add-ons. And if you just want the special edition cover, it's $100. Kickstarter exclusive. Nah. So this is a super soft maybe for me. We'll see. Obviously it probably backed on the first day within the first couple hours. Again, it's Monty Cook.
Yeah.
It's already at $226,000 and still has 20 days to go. So plenty of time. I have it saved. They'll remind me. But that's Kickstart the Stream. So not a whole lot today. Yeah, 4 things. We cruised through it though. One of the things we are going to start doing at some point, we will have a dedicated like Instagram or something for this. We will start posting the Kickstarters that we go over each week onto that, and then tagging the creators or linking their pages any way we can through Instagram, and probably dropping them in our Discord channel here as well. So if you're out there in podcast land, check out our Discord. Just go to our Linktree. It's Linktree, the linktr.ee/the Adventure Archive. You can check out our Discord where we will have where we have a channel here, or you can check out our Instagram. It is the Adventure Archive. Are we the dot Adventure Archive? The dot Adventure dot Archive? Might be us. I don't even know. I don't know what our own Instagram is.
Instagram up right now. So I will say, before we totally wrap up Kickstart the Stream, it's not out yet, but Ryan and I are both fairly excited for the Mothership box set.
Oh my god,
dude, it looks so cool. The box looks so nice, and I'm in it. It's a lot of adventures I think both Ryan and I already own, but they're the re-release for its official first edition.
Don't even get me fucking started.
Yeah, Ryan's a little frustrated that it's been out for so long in like a beta format, and now it's first edition, especially because there's just so much content created.
They're still publishing new adventures before this one even comes out and calling it Zero Edition. It makes no sense. The game's been out for 3 years. Just call it First Edition and call this one Second Edition. Come on.
I'm excited, and there's supposed to be some conversion information that comes with the new box set on if you want to convert the older modules, and it doesn't look like they changed really that much. It looks like they dialed in some stuff, but
that's exactly what they said. Yeah. I mean, it's just a naming thing. It's just, of course, I have to have a pet peeve about something, and that's it. But of course, I'm going to get it. But yes, all 3 of the adventures you get in it, which are Gradient Descent, the Drain, and is it the Drain?
The other one, Pound of Flesh.
Pound of Flesh. Is it the Drain? Is it the Drain that you get with it? I know it's Gradient Descent and Pound of Flesh.
I don't think you get Drain with it. I can't
remember the third one. Whatever it is, I have all 3 already. And did you see that they're actually offering a box to just like a storage box?
Yes.
And they're like, you can tuck all of your Zero Edition stuff that you already paid for, so that you can then rebuy the new First Edition stuff. Thanks. I will get the box. Trust me.
I'm gonna fucking buy it. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm buying all of it. No, I don't care either. It's just I haven't played it. I haven't got a chance to play any of those adventures. And if I had known those adventures would be in this box, I wouldn't have bought them already.
Right.
But, got to do that double, because what are you going to do? Let's try the old version. That's only slightly different. Like they're just relics at this point. You know what I mean?
Also, for anyone who's listening or wondering, November 2nd is the day that the Kickstarter officially drops. And
is it? Did they move it back? Because in that video of the preview, it said November 9th. I don't know if they delayed it by a week.
Oh, did they? They might have. I have the video up, but I'm not like currently watching it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So it's one of those days. So check that out. And then when Hull Breach drops, we'll talk about that as well. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that means what, next weekly scroll we'll be able to break down the Kickstarter?
I probably, unless it's not out by then, and in which case
So in the next 2 weeks we will go through a breakdown of the entire Kickstarter.
We're gonna go through it, y'all, and it'll be one day. So
it'll be one day. It'll be sometime in the next 2 weeks. We will cover all of that. So that is Kickstart the Stream. So we're gonna get into the other thing that we had planned for today, which is not Chainsaw Man. It is in fact Necronautilus. So again, I have the nice fancy special edition cover, silver foil, kind of skullish art on the front. It is a beauty. Oh, I think my green screen is on. Let's
And
turn
I
that
have
up
the
real
not
quick.
special edition, which is also still incredibly cool. You've got this weird, like, semi-liquid man in this very like acid galaxy, like super trippy artwork. Back is very similar to Ryan's, maybe not as pretty, but still very similar.
Yeah.
Dude, this book is such a listen. If you've ever enjoyed LSD before, this is the book for you.
I have no idea what you're talking about. We do not promote
Dude,
drug use on this very public forum.
I'm not promoting anything. I'm just saying.
Yes. It does describe itself as a stoner metal game, but it is many levels deeper than that.
Yeah, it really is. This is like very fantastic, like piece of art, which I'm gonna say a lot on the show because we go over these smaller games. But they're art. I mean, this is fucking art. This is playable art, you know.
And it's all Adam Vass. It's all Adam Vass. Like that's the thing. Absolutely. Is like World Champ Games is just this one dude. So if you look, it's hard to describe Adam Vass's games like well because we know that they're different than a standard game, and Adam Vass in the About section of World Champ Games actually sums up himself quite well, which he's probably the best one that could do that. But he says World Champ Games is a one-person operation from design, development, graphics, and order fulfillment. It's literally just him. But his focus is on, and as we get into other games that we've talked about this before, Necronautilus, Aurora, Veneration, a lot of these other games that are like we even talked about I Need You So Much Closer, which is basically a game about listening to transatlanticism while driving in the car. Like, come the fuck off.
Oh, man. Yeah, like, we did talk about
oh, this. My God, I can't wait for that. But he said his focus is on outsider or emotional games, ones that you won't likely find on shelves or getting licensed to bigger publishers. It exists in a niche within a niche, and he's happy to stay there and keep making the games that he wants to make. He said he likes heavy music, sad stories, tattoos, and wrestling, and that he wants to integrate those interests into tabletop games and RPGs. The niche within a niche of these like outsider games is exactly how I would describe that. A lot of them are not, like I said, I Need You So Much Closer is literally a car ride. Like you're actually like you have this grid. I mean, we can bring it up at some point. We'll go over something like that too. This like hex map, and you're literally in a car with other people or another person, and the way you play the game is like the hex map basically creates these obstacles and stuff like that. So you can get stopped by the police or like, you know, do different adventures on your road trip while playing this. And that's not 5e, you know. It's just a very different style of game, and I really, really, really enjoy the kind of different side of gaming versus the very like principles of gaming, you know, correct game design and choice and stuff like that, as opposed shifting over to this more emotional side of it. So
yeah, we're obviously big fans of Adam Vass. I mean, both Ryan and I kind of have a musically metal background. And I mean, man, I've really enjoyed like progressive metal with this very like stoner overtones forever. So like this it hits a chord for me, you know, it strikes a chord for me. Like the artwork on the shirts is this very like fantastic, like metal, just like scrawling, like, oh dude, so cool. Sorry, we're a little off topic, but huge fans.
No, not off topic at all. We're talking about Adam Vass. I mean, and I love, so this entire section from here to here is all Adam Vass things. I think right now on my shelves, I have 13 of his games. And I think I have I know I have 3 or 4 more in the mail. Like I got Babes in the Wood. Right. I got his new, I got a couple of the new ones that came. Basically, anytime something new drops or I see him post something, I'm like, fuck, mine another game.
Did you get Candy Teeth?
I did get Candy Teeth. How beautiful does that game look?
It looks so good.
It looks so good. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. When it comes in, we can take a peek at it. I think we talked about this before. Yeah, I think we talked about this before. One of these days, I really want to sit down with like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 of the smaller zines, like Veneration or like Hell's Cabin and stuff like that. And we'll just have a whole just a whole day of just digging through some of the smaller Adam Vass stuff like Excommunicado or even like
Yeah, I mean, we
Aurora.
really could. There's just so much here, and I just got Aurora. I haven't even gone through it yet, but I just got Aurora. Yeah, there's just
Aurora is amazing. We're actually in the process of setting up for a game of Aurora. I'll be opening up a public channel for that soon. We have we are gonna have 9 people playing. It's a 6-person game, but like 6 of the people are couples. So they're basically going to design the cards together because in Aurora, so this quick break, you basically create a tarot card deck using the mail. So you mail. This is another game that I talked about you about that we could do with like Chris, you, me, Jen. Yeah. You basically get. And I have a ton of blank cards. I have plenty left over. We could do it again. You mail cards to somebody else, and then within the book, so say I mail you a cards, you look at my zip code and use the numbers in my zip code as across this like grid for inspiration for making the cards. So like number 5 might be bird and stuff like that. So you could draw like a bird or something like that. And you basically you get moves when you build the cards. You can either draw a picture or label a card, stuff like that. You basically, instead of making a tarot deck, you make an oracle deck. I don't know if you know what an oracle deck is versus a tarot deck, but it's a little bit less.
I don't.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more like that. Like it's not specific things, but it's just like it might be like instead of like a 3 of wands or something, it's like a ship's wheel. And then you can interpret the wheel any way you want. So you basically use that, and each person has 3 moves within like for the cards, and then you bundle them back up and mail it to the next person, and then they use the previous zip code and they do 3 cards and or 3 moves or whatever until all the cards are done, and then you get together, lay those cards out, and use those cards as inspiration for running a game about this city that is wrapped in good versus evil. And you just have this very narrative style play using the cards you all created together as inspiration. And I thought it'd be really cool to do that. And then not only that, when they're done, actually go somewhere and get them scanned and print it out again and just send everybody a copy of it so that everyone has all the cards. That'd be dope.
Really, really cool.
And that's the kind of game that Adam Vass makes. I mean, they're badass. I think so Necronautilus, as well as maybe one of the other games like A Guide to Casting Phantoms in the Revolution, are 2 of the more how do I want to say it? Oh, also Babes in the Wood, I would add that too, are the more like high end, like really well published, super supported, more in-depth rule sets versus something like Excommunicado that only has like 8 pages, or Veneration or something like that, the smaller zines, which he does a ton of, and a lot of small games. On his Patreon, I think he makes like a game a month. But Necronautilus is one of those ones that's like you could tell was like a ton of time and thought and everything went into this. Not only the design, the art, like the hardback, because this is not a zine. It is a hardback book. Like it's but you can just tell the way the guy creates. It's like he has a couple of games that are literally like, I was inspired by this album by this band, so I made a game. Like, come on,
So crazy. I mean, shout out that guy.
Seriously, I really, really enjoy World Champ games. He's up there with some of my favorite creators. Source of Victory, right at the top. But I definitely would say that Adam Vass is way, way, way near the top of the.
This is a Source of Victory and Adam Vass Stan podcast. So from now on, we're only going to talk about those 2 creators.
That's it. And what I love about the 2 creators too is I feel like they're almost kind of not polar opposites, but like I feel like the styles of games that they run and play are different. Like Source of Victory is very into like game design and game structure from a very like
crunchy.
I wouldn't say crunchy. I would just say like from like a design standpoint, like the design of the game is important. Like when he does game books, like the Choose Your Own Adventure books and stuff like that, the design of those things are really extremely well done to like appropriate design principles and things like that. And every time I talk to him, I feel like I learned something new about game design choices and things like that. But it's very designed as a game, and I feel like Adam Vass's is more designed from like a very emotional standpoint, because there's times where it's like, not that the rules don't matter, but it's kind of like sometimes it definitely feels like the rules aren't necessarily the point. You know what I mean?
No,
It's more
the
like
experience is the point.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Not saying that Circe's not like that at all. Of course, the experience is part of that too. It's just I feel like it's just two different kind of perspectives on great game design.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really enjoy both. Again, Circe will always be my favorite creator. But yeah, Adam Vass is way up there. Really enjoy his stuff, and it's just a kind of different take on gaming. Especially when you can sit down and just be like, man, damn, I love this album. Let me create an entire game. You know, like that's really cool. So getting into Necronautilus though, why don't we start cranking into this? And I will bring up. Let me go back to RPG full screen view, and then I can hit the full screen. So, the PDF is not a cover of the book. It's very weird, interesting art. The more you zoom in, the more you see like these like creatures in the art and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm not making this up. Like those are definitely like little like creatures,
Yeah, they're
right?
like cat, like at the bottom, there's like these really weird cat-like, dog-like
Yeah.
eyes and a nose, and
But
throughout
then
it,
this
there's
is
like, yeah, it's
but then this
something.
is kind of a snake over here. This looks like a fox right here. Like this looks like a frog, kind of. Like for those again for visually, those in podcast land are really going to miss out on this because once again, Adam Vass does not only do the creation, he does all the art for it. You know that Adam Vass did a Merkborg book, right?
No, I did not
Fiskborg,
know that.
yeah, about fishing. Yeah, I saw Merkborg and Adam Vass, and I was like, done. I don't care what it is, done. Yeah,
Really?
it's a
Oh, I
beautiful
hadn't
book.
seen
We'll have
that
to
then.
look. Yeah, we'll have to look at it sometime. But anyway, so yeah, the cover art is exactly what you would think from stoner metal. Just I don't even know how to begin. Actually, you know what? Our Instagram post had a really good breakdown. So let me just read that to you real quick,
Read to me.
as just
Do.
kind of a preview, um, and you'll get kind of a very not broad breakdown. In Necronautilus, players act as souls bound to clouds of noxious gas called death agents and use words of power to act on behalf of their blind god Death and maintain order in a post-death galaxy. I said, join us as we dig into this stoner metal science fantasy game by Adam Vass and explore the subjectivity of language, ethics, memory, and reality. So right off the bat, what's really interesting about this game, again, besides the just ridiculous art, ridiculous in a good way, is the way it works. And that is these words of power and memories and everything. It's you literally use words to, and that's your abilities basically. And however you can craft those words, we'll get into it. It's hard to explain it until you read into it. But basically, you exist in a world where everything is dead. Like everything in the universe and the galaxy is already dead.
I think this page that we're looking at right now, with like this tombstone-esque graphic, actually sums it up amazingly. And that is every bug you've ever stepped on is here, breathing the same noxious air as every star that ever burnt out in this eternal post-life planetary system. Like it literally, you are in the realm of death. After, like what happens after life, and everything that has ever died, every creature, star, planet to be destroyed is here with you.
Hmm. Oh, keep going. Finish.
Oh, you want to keep
Just
going?
read
Okay,
this page.
I was waiting for some back and forth, you know. But
No, I can't. I'm just like, yep. Keep going. Yep.
Eternal post-life planet death. And yet, against all odds, on each plant surface, new life is breeding, spawning endless creatures, plants, and people to inhabit Death's domain. Through their emissaries, the blind god Death oversees the galaxy and its denizens. They stave off power-hungry lords, catalog the ever-expanding planetary system, track those who would evade their inevitable fate, and maintain the proper order. These tasks are executed by soul-bound clouds of toxic gas, the Death Agents. And so like literally it's just that it's such a massive, like unique post-life galaxy that's continuously growing in all these different ways that even new life is popping up within this galaxy. And you as a Death Agent are essentially just tracking it and making sure it's going according to Death's design. It's such a bizarro, cool setting that has literally limitless possibilities. And there's like a pre-written adventure kind of, or some ideas at the end that we'll touch on, and they're bizarro awesome. And I'm super into it.
Well, you know, it gives me a tiny bit of, but in a much more like, I don't know how to describe it. I keep saying stoner metal and stuff like that. It reminds me of Rick and Morty in like that they can literally with the portal like go to anywhere and see anything anytime. Right. You know what I mean? Like when they're in the ship and they randomly land on the Purge planet. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, this is the Purge planet. Let's check out the Purge. Like, it's not special. It's just like, oh, here's another one. But like, they're just like exploring the universe, basically doing that. And this reminds me of that just a tiny bit, just in like just around the edges a little bit. That there are literally, and the cool thing about being a GM in this kind of system is anything you fucking want. Guess what? Like, it can exist here. Like, if you want to do weird space western, if you want to do, you know, medieval anything, like literally there, of course there's a galaxy and there's a planet and there's a universe that's got that stuff. You know what I mean? If you want to have like trouts with koala butts, you know, that rule over planet with an iron fist as warlords, you definitely can. Why not? And it's really cool that the agents themselves are creatures who have basically been purged of their existence, except for just enough memory to drive them forward. Is basically what the Death Agent is. Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
but they're not like, they don't have, they're clouds of noxious gas. Like you as a player character in this game are a cloud of gas that is sentient. And it just, I don't know why, but I thought it's a really cool concept for a character, you know?
Well, what's crazy too is there's a couple ways you have a set. We'll get to this later too. You have a set amount of life in this game. And if you hit 0, you basically just shut down. You don't really die. You just shut down until you can get taken out and be in a safe place. But if you reach 30 on your life, the higher in life you get, you actually get closer to what you were before. And once you hit 30, you're later retired because you basically regain your previous sentience. And just are auto-retired by death because you're not, you just can't be a Death Agent anymore. So you have to hit that sweet spot between 0 and literally becoming sentient once again, not with all of your memories, but maybe with some of them. And that's just a really cool concept to me. Like, to stay as you are, you have to stay in the middle. You can't get too bad. You can't get too good. You got to just stay in the middle. So it's interesting how people, especially as you unlock memories and things like that, how someone could decide to try to strive for 0 or 30. You know what I mean? As a different way to play. But yeah. And just again, for those in podcast land, you're missing out on seeing the game itself in just the layout, art, and design. Because I think that is, on top of the game itself being just awesome, the layout, art, and design really, really just blows it out of the water. As far as
sets the pace, it really sets the mood. Like, you understand by the artwork, like, what the feel of this game is. Like, even if you didn't necessarily read it in depth, if you flip through and you look at the artwork, you're like, okay, I understand like the overall vibe of this game.
Yeah. And even page to page, like, you can see like when he starts to talk about certain concepts or brings like a quote in, or like, you know, there's a bunch of times where you I'm gonna scroll down until I see some of it, where like you're talking about like, who are you and things like that, and then like scrawled on the page will be like little messages that are just like, you have, like, close your eyes, like, can you hear me right now, you need to remember, like, just scrawled in like almost in little margins of the page and stuff like that, where it's like you can almost feel like here's the rules, this is what you should be doing, and there's some little voice underneath it going like, no, like, you have to remember, like, you have to get out of this, like, you know who you are. Like, that kills me. But yeah, dangerous planets full of flesh-eating beasts. Oh, talking about the universe. Weird, uh, beasts, demons, ashes, infinite crystals harness energy and come to life. Mages perform thousand-year rituals. Golden giants drink liquid night and bathe in the sunset afterglow. If you can imagine it, it has already died and it has arrived here for you to discover. The universe is your own, but death rules it. Every group of players discovers and defines every planet, allowing infinite exploration in any direction or tone you desire. Read to learn how the agents work. Play to define what death and memory mean to you. A lot of the concept of this gameplay is really about interpretation of language, reality, meaning, and what those mean to you specifically, as opposed to the other players, which is really cool. Adam Vass is super into safety tools.
Dude, shout out these safety tools, by the way, because this is a great like spread of options and
Oh
like
yeah,
content.
lines and veils, open door. The cat system is neat. Concept, aim, tone, subject matter. It is a way to ensure that everyone's on board with the same kind of rule set that you're playing. My favorite is the Olivia Hill rule. If and when I ever finish writing a game, this rule or a variation of it will be in there. The Olivia Hill rule, and he's put this in numerous ones of his books. I think that Aurora has like cats and lines and veils, and I think Olivia Hill rule too. But while this game can approach a power fantasy and deal with totalitarianism, you are not welcome to play as fascists or further that agenda. You are not my people, and this is not your game. And then the quote from Olivia Hill is, if you're a fascist, you're not welcome to play this game. It's against the rules. If you're reading this and thinking, you just call everyone you disagree with a fascist, then you're probably a fascist or incapable of drawing inferences from context and acknowledging a dangerous political climate that causes the oppressed to be hyperbolic. Don't play this game. Heal yourself, grow, learn. And I think the full quote has like one extra little thing at the end. But Olivia Hill is another designer. She and she actually has a page on her website that talks about the Olivia Hill rule. Yeah, she works with Machine Age Productions. The rest of the quote is, don't play this game, heal yourself, grow, learn, watch a Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or something. So you can actually she actually gives like a the standard white, black, white like parental advisory warning on like CDs and shit from the 90s. She gives you a graphic that you can put in your games if you use it. It says Olivia Hill. Oh, I can literally just bring it onto stream.
Oh, cool. That's a really
it says
cool
like Olivia Hill rule, no fascists allowed. And if you send her stuff, she'll actually like post links to your games and stuff for ones that have actually used it. So you can look at games like Bordeaux and stuff. But she made this I Hunt game with Machine Age Productions. So yeah, you can use her rule if you want. And just credit her with the Creative Commons Attribution 4. And throw that in your game and let fascists know to fuck off. So always good to do. But yeah, like I said, Adam Vass is super into safety tools. He has them in almost every game that I've seen published by him, and especially anything that's more than like 6 or 8 pages, like mini zine. They're in there, and these are the ones that he frequently uses. So definitely check those out. And for anyone that's like, we don't need no safety tools, listen, some safety tools are not only just to make sure that you don't, get all rapey in your fucking game like a creep. They're also used to make sure everyone's on the same page, so that you're not partway into a game and someone's like, hey, this isn't what I thought I was going to play, because that can just bring a lot of conflict in your game. Like, hey, I don't want to play this anymore. Or people that like feel like they can't not, even though they're not having fun, because what their expectations were don't match the reality of the game. It's the same reason you have a zero session in D&D.
I super agree. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're listening to this right now and you are a GM, DM, game runner, referee, like, you understand, like, what we do is we create social situations for our player characters, our friends, ourselves to enjoy. And you can't just assume at all times that everyone's going to enjoy the same thing, or that everyone's traumas are very obvious to you. So you need to take into account like how to create the best experience for your entire table.
Yeah. And that's different for everybody. You know, some people that want to
It
be
is.
like, oh, like I'm a big buff guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can still have these conversations in a way that makes you all comfortable while having those conversations. It doesn't mean if it's not your thing to sit around and hold hands and talk through your trauma, don't fucking do that. Just make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah,
And a
that's
lot of
not
these
the ask. You know, the ask
No.
the ask is not to everyone to sit down and like share all their trauma and have a kumbaya moment. It's to create a space where expectations are clear, and people are respected.
Exactly. So, and again, like Cats is a great system for that, where it literally, you talk about the concept of the game, you talk about the aim of the game, you talk about the tone of the game, and you talk about the subject matter of the game. So the concept is it's a game about cataloging infinite space and interacting with infinitely varied life forms. The aim is to inspire creativity among the players. The tone is inspired by heavy metal and pulp sci-fi. That rides a line between strangeness and sincerity. The subject matter is like a stretch of things: religion, professional ethical conflict, subjective morality, drug use, potential abuse, violence, potential gore, a bunch of stuff. But again, you know, there might be people that are totally down for all of that, but you didn't know maybe that they are a recovering alcoholic because they didn't decide to tell you. So bringing up a lot of like substance abuse stuff could really be an issue for them. With a system like this, if that comes up, they can take you aside at some point and be like, hey, I would appreciate it if we'd stay away from this, just because that, you know, I really invest in the game. And I think that's some people that I think people's different perspective of gaming also affects that too. Because I know people that just like play the game, and I know people that invest in the game so much they'll cry with their character, you know. And for the people that really enjoy that, you know, a moment that might not necessarily be triggering for you because it's just the game could be triggering for somebody else because they've emotionally invested deeply in their character. So that trauma feels more real to some people. People that can kind of like, it's not like method acting, but you know what I mean? Like when you really try to be the character, you can just feel things, and people can feel things more. People can have more empathy. People can have more, or just be like an empath in general to those kind of things. So long story short, use safety rules. Don't be a fascist. Fuck off.
Yeah, don't be a fascist. Use safety rules.
Yeah.
Respect your player characters and yourself.
There you go. So we interact with the world through language. Words define ourselves and our beliefs. They describe the things we discover and interact with. They relate to our experience. So words are the basis of this entire thing. Everything in the game revolves around words with a capital W. There's basic aspects to keep in mind. Words are advancement. Words are player powers. Words create new planets, denizens, memories, and powers. And words are subjective. I mean, there's a lot of times throughout the game where he says, I don't care about spelling. Like, just have the word. Yeah. Because there's times where, like, you fail and you have to add, like, a letter or add, like, an affix or something like that to it. And you can't really make a whole new word, but by adding, like, just an E or just an I, you can change, you know, what you would normally be as two E's or an IE. You can just add an I or an E, and it's still, you know, you can say that's close enough, right?
Yeah, totally. Basically, phonetically, it's very similar. You understand what kind of like word I'm going for. And it's like, just give them the fucking word. Like, this game is not about being very granular with rules, you know? No. It's
and I like you said, it's about phonetics. It almost gives me a sense of like reading people's license plates when people have to fit like their entire identity in 7 letters on a license plate or whatever. So there's like no vowels, you know, you know what I mean? So yeah. So I can definitely see having to play with that a little bit.
I mean, I have a vanity plate. Mine says garlic boy, you know, because I'm all about that, you know. It doesn't, but man, I would totally get that. I do love me some garlic.
Kaylee's has a plate. Don't say what it is, but she has a vanity plate.
0% shocked. Listen, podcast land. I am 0% shocked that Ryan's wife has a vanity plate. I actually pretty sure I know what it says. So I'm
sure you know what it says, and she's had it since she could like drive. She's had it forever. Yeah, literally forever.
So
anyway,
why?
Her mom does too. So death. Death is an ancient being operating outside time and logic. They traverse space before there were even stars to illuminate it. The presence is felt as a weight on your chest, a pain in your head. But they are blind. Death is blind. Figuratively, they operate outside of subjective morality. I like how he uses they pronouns in this too. It keeps it very ambiguous. Death comes for those that are meant to die, but literally death cannot see. They can only feel and be felt. which means some people think they can hide. You can't. You can't hide from death. Not simply for the fact that you're already fucking dead, but he is always there. Or they are always there. But yeah, the entire galaxy is dead. Everything's dead. Everything. At one point, he talks about like a negative plus a negative. I can't remember where that line is, but I really like that a lot.
Despite this, our galaxy also contains new life. Just as multiplying two negatives returns positive. It's the last on this page, page 9.
Creatures never before seen, plants never before planted, and people never before birth or given new life here. Yeah. It reminds me of like...
the thing is, like, in Death's domain, it's not just things that have all died. It's not just that. It's also like there's weird, new, undiscovered life that's never been anywhere before.
Yeah. It kind of that line there. I know this is super random, and I so clearly, as you listen to me more, you'll understand that I understand things by referencing them to other things. Like, I feel like that's just the way that helps me ground things, is to be like, that's like that, because it sits in my brain well. The two negatives return a positive thing. I don't know, like I don't know if you've read Jujutsu Kaisen or just watched the manga, but like the whole concept
I've just watched the anime.
The whole concept of, well, first of all, read it. It gets so much better. Even Kaylee's reading it. The whole concept of reverse curse technique, basically all curse energy is negative energy, but you can heal with negative energy because you put negative energy and negative energy together and it gives you positive energy that lets you heal. That's what that reminded me of a little bit. But anyway, so yes, death exists everywhere. Everything is dead, and you are within death's domain. But as we just said, in death's domain, you there can be new life. And over these couple pages with death, again, it's just amazing, just really cool art, really great layout, and a couple extra pages here of art. What were you? What do you want to be? Is scrawled across one of these pages, these black and white pages, and then we get into what is a death agent, who you are. A death agent is a fractured fragment of a once living soul tasked with carrying out the orders and whims of death. They exist outside of reality, manifesting as a noxious cloud of gas. So they literally, their job is to catalog the entire massive domain of death, this universe of death. So they are sent on, as players and characters, sent on these missions to different planets to maintain balance, prevent or punish exploitation, and totalitarian rule, and other forms of subjugation. So they're basically I don't even know, kind of Big Brothery. I don't even know.
They're Death's eyes. You are the eyes of death. You're the hands of death, because death is a blind god that exists outside of time and logic and cannot directly act.
Yeah, but I mean, so you're all the different parts of death in different ways. Yeah. The eyes, the ears, the hands. But basically, yeah, your job in game now, not like lore wise. You are sent on missions. Whether there is an issue, if it's a new planet or one that hasn't been cataloged yet, you're sent to just go check it out. Or if there's issues going on a planet, you're sent to go handle those issues. That's your job as a death agent. But death agents were to perform their duties as best they can in service of this responsibility. They are stripped of identity, their name and memories scattered among the stars. Only a glimpse is permitted to remain. And I really like this. The reason they became a death agent. So you actually can roll for that later in the game. But this allows agent to constantly be reminded of their obligation to death, and leaves an unfortunate backdoor through which other memories can be accessed. I really like that a lot. So basically you're scrubbed of everything except your reason for being a death agent, to constantly remind you of your job and like your responsibility to it. But by giving you that little bit, it basically leaves open the possibility of other memories leaking in through this kind of open door of that reason, because it's one of your memories.
It's a thread that you can pull on to unravel like kind of like who you were at one point in time.
Yeah, and as you play the game, you actually use your words of power. You actually can regain memories. And since the game is like a very narrative focused game, as you regain a memory at the table, you actually like speak out, live out that memory so people can hear that, and then you track that on your character sheets and stuff like that, which is just really amazing. Just every time I read it, as I hit a new part, I'm just like, damn, that's a cool concept. Damn, that's a cool concept. And
it's
then we actually get into
it's a very heady game. You know what I mean? Like this is definitely a game for a specific group of my player characters. Like, I definitely have certain tables that I could definitely run this game, and I know one specifically where I'm like, this would just not do well at that table because they do not want to think that hard. They want to kill things.
That, you know, I really, really like these narrative-focused non-rules. I mean, there are rules to this, but the narrative focus is super present, obviously, too. But like we did 10 Candles the other night. I don't know if you saw that at all.
I've not checked it out yet. I did see that you guys did it, though.
Fuck, it's awesome, and we should play that. I would play that every fucking week. It's so cool. Super narrative driven. The rule set is amazing. It's like no prep. And then we played Archipelago. We have another session tonight, which is completely narrative based. I played Microscope as well, which is super narrative based. So really, really great change of pace as opposed to just sitting and rolling dice. You know, you can't absolutely. In 5e, if you want, you could never RP a second of it and still have an adventure because you could just roll dice. You know what I mean? Technically. But in those narrative games,
not
you
technically,
can't.
You could. You know?
Yeah.
I rolled to persuade this guy.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
say
it.
Anything. Yeah.
So, agents generally deployed in small teams. It's like a 2 to 4 player game. I love this section here too. Death agents are not immune to innumerable dangers of the surrounding galaxy. Each agent has responsibility for monitoring their own life force well-being. Hey, Jordan. How's it going? Thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you for the resub. 13 months. Got that D20.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah. Can you believe that we've been doing this? I know you haven't, but we at the Adventure Archive have been doing this for 13 months. It's crazy. But yeah, thank you, Jordan. Appreciate that. Oh, that's very true. Well, you could theoretically turn the Founder's Badge off if you want, but I don't know why you would. I should have got a Founder's Badge on our channel, but I was like, nah, let's let our subscribers do that. And I'm like, fuck, why don't I have a Founder's Badge on my own channel? But I like this part that they literally scratches out a section here.
Yeah.
Failure to effectively regulate life force is a felonious activity and is dealt with scratch quickly and maliciously by Death Knights unscratch. Internally through complicated paperwork and procedures. Rumors of Death Knights acting as violent mobile enforcers of Death's rules are unfounded. I love that it's like, yeah.
There are no Death Knights. What are you talking about?
No Death Knights. What are you talking about? They'll kill you. So yeah. So that's cool. And then, so getting into memories. Every time I was scrolling through this book, I was surprised at just how much was in the book. It's only got like 80 pages, but then I was like, damn, I'm only 30 pages in. How much, you know?
Yeah.
There's just so much in the book.
Book is thick.
Triple C's, baby. Registering to become a death agent includes allowing one's souls to be stripped of individuality. We talked about this before. The only exception is a memory of the pivotal event, which is your reason. We talked about that already. But allowing access to one profound memory is a calculated risk because there's always a chance that you could unlock further memories. That ain't good for death. Death don't like that. Agents monitor their soul stability by measuring the fluctuations of their life value. Life and death exist in a spectrum, and agents will reckon with vast fluctuations among them. We talked about it a little bit earlier. So basically, if you're reduced to 0, you are in an unconscious state. You basically just shut down. You are not dead. You just basically have to get to freedom, or to safety. Cannot be damaged, cannot communicate, cannot interact. You are inert. And then you slowly regenerate. But if your value gets too high, you are no longer viable and are forcibly retired, because, and it says this a little bit more later, basically the more life value you have, the closer you become to the previous sentient being you were, but with only the memories that you have gained since becoming a death agent intact. So, in game, however,
sorry. I scrolled around this. If you're listening podcast land, talking about this life value, this little section, this little box. Scrolled next to it really big is remember, and under it in smaller letters is, or in smaller text is, can you hear me right now? You need to remember, which is just like, it's very eerie. It's very like, I don't know. It's very,
yeah. There's another section here on the side that says like, you were once something so much more than this and can be again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of hand scrolling on this. Again, beautiful, beautiful layout that Adam Vass puts out. I don't know why I'm keeping it so small. We should just blow the page out like this. Death agents possess immense power with no parallel in the living world, able to perform feats uttering single words bound only by imagination and your perception of reality. I can't wait to bust out a word of power, man. I can't wait.
But it's really like, yeah, the use of language, if you're especially really clever with language, like you can be very powerful in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really cool too about this, especially games that are this heady, there is a section in the back of the book that's got like example playthroughs where it talks about like the different situations you can be in, and like how someone uses a memory, and once the memory comes out, how they describe it and stuff like that, which is super helpful because pretty much as I was reading it the first time, when I got to that part, I was like, all right, I'm gonna fuck this up. And then it was like, nope, here you go. Here's a breakdown of how it works. So that was super, super helpful. So the character sheet is really, really cool. It basically says character sheet, and then there is a skull from like the teeth to the eyebrows. And then the things that you use are in your skull. So the right eye socket is your words of power. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 lines within the socket for you to write down words of power. Your collection, which we'll get to in a second, is on the left eye, which is right on the sheet when you're looking at it, but it's left eye. And it's a grid so that it holds 9 things. Your title is across like the top of the bridge of the nose. Your luck is in the... Well. What's up?
So which we'll get to as well, the title.
Yeah. We'll break down all these little sections. There's a luck in the right nostril. There's life in the left nostril. And you have 5 teeth, which are items that you can use. Basically, you're incorporeal, but there are times where you can make yourself corporeal and use items, like mundane items. Yeah. And then you have a list of memories and your reason. So it's a really, really neat, interesting character sheet. There is a bigger version of it in the back of the book, so you can always do a printout of it, not just this one that you see here. So it's really neat. And really, again, fits the vibe of the game incredibly, incredibly well. You are literally an agent of death. Why not have literally a skull as your character sheet? So we'll break down through the parts of the character sheet real quick, and then continue to move on. The words of power, which is basically the main thing of the entire game. The energy and will of the death agent is deployed through words of power. Without these words, the agent could simply be a cloud prison for the soul, but channeling this power allows death agents to meaningfully interact within the universe and its denizens. They are spells, feats, attributes, specialties, like everything all wrapped up into one. And we'll get to more on words of power later, but you start with 3 of these. They should be single words of varied length with at least 4 letters, each written on their own line in the character sheet. And there's actually D66, which is actually only 36 things because of the D6 and a D6. I love that concept though. Troika uses D66 and D3 and D666 too. You basically, if it's D666, you don't roll like for 666, you just roll 1 6 and then a second 6 and then a third 6, and that gives you numbers. But obviously it doesn't give you numbers like 7, 8, and 9. So D66 is only 36 things. But here I think they have 2 different pages of D66 words of power. Is that yeah, right here it is. D66 words of power: radiate, melody, starborn, distortion, unholy, hallowed, terraform, oracle. Second D66, graceful, hallucinate, golden, meteoric, warthog, stoned, snakebit. Literally random ass stuff.
They're random words.
Random ass words, but the point is to be able to use those words by bending the way reality works and your interpretation of language in order to create these, as it says, spells, feats, attributes, whatever you would call it, this reality shaping power using those words. However the situation arises. Like if you have like fissure, right? And then you're on a planet and things are attacking you, you could literally like use your word fissure to open a fissure in the planet and drop things down inside of it. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward one. I don't know how I'd use warthog, but
you summon the fucking warthog. The thing is that you can be very, very, very obvious with these and very straightforward, and then you can also be really, really subtle. You know, kind of depending on the word and the situation, obviously. But there's a lot of play with language in this. Yeah, warthog, that one, I'm just like, well, you can summon a warthog to chase off enemies.
Well, but you could also do something that requires you to be like stubborn or resilient. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
You could have something that needs tusks. You know what I mean? Or you could even charge at something angrily, as a warthog might do. You know what I mean? So you can use it. Yeah. So you can use the concept. You can use some of the characteristics. You can use the physical aspects of the thing. You can use anything. Get that cat out of here. You can use all those different aspects of that. And that's why, again, one of the big things is that so much of it is just relative. It's literally, if I was running this game, if you could pull the tiniest little thread out of your ass to link one thing to another, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I would be very, very open. Like, the whole game is about being as creative as possible. And I'd be very open to, like, bending some stuff or like accepting stuff, even if it's a little far-fetched, to give people the freedom to be creative. You know?
Exactly. So again, you start with 3 words of power that are at least 4 characters long. Each word of power has a value written in the corresponding bubble. This starts at 6 and can increase through play as high as 10. So as there's different ways we can increase the power of the word. And most of the way, you know, if I read it correctly, to increase the power of a word is to fail with it.
Is to fail with it, yeah.
But you then add like a letter. We'll get to it, but you add like a letter or something to it that makes it harder to use because you're making it longer, you're making it more specified. But since the level is higher, it's a roll under game. It makes it easier to use. Yeah. So it's more specific but more reliable.
Right.
Yeah. And then you have that's the left eye socket. The right eye socket is your collection. Each player begins with up to 3 words in their collection and can be used to catalog planets, assist fellow agents, or modify their ship. Players can collect more words during play, can carry 9 unused words. They may be any length, but must at least be 4 characters long. And you can turn a collected word into a word of power by spending life. And we'll get into how that works a little bit later. Luck is the left nose cavity. You begin a value of 6. Luck is tested when players attempt difficult tasks without an applicable word of power. So if you want to do something but you don't have a word of power, you test your luck for that.
Yeah, you have to use luck. Yeah. Or you can use an item.
Yep, which you can rip out of yourself.
You can rip from your body. Yeah.
You can rip from your body. Right nose cavity is life. You begin with a value of 6. So rolling like a collection word or whatever to turn a collection word into a word of power on a D6 when you start with 6 life, probably not good at lower levels.
Yeah,
lower
not
levels
amazing.
Of death agent. Because you could potentially instantly become stasis. But as I said before, low amount of life indicates your soul is weak and susceptible to losing its bond. But a high amount of life makes you susceptible to literally like regaining sentience, which is quote unquote bad.
Is bad, yeah.
Is bad.
It's weird because it's almost kind of the point of playing this game, though, is to like kind of walk this line where you're like, yeah, you have a few memories that you can use, but you're still dead enough to keep playing, you know?
But I kind of like, at least in my head, I get this like sense of a character arc where it's more like that is kind of the point. Like, obviously death doesn't want you to become sentient and lose you as an agent. But you could play forever until you hit 30 life and basically like force your own retirement by regaining sentience and at least some of your memories. Like, I can imagine that being like the culmination, because like they straight up say like, if this ever, it's not like when you hit 0, you just have to like, you know, get your soul back together and get to safety and you'll come back around. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when you hit 30, it's literally like you're sentient. Death doesn't want you. Make a new death agent. You know, there's no coming back. We were talking about items, which are the teeth. In dire circumstances, you can painfully remove a portion of your malleable form, modeling it into the shape and capability of mundane basic items. You get 5 of these excisions per planet, and oftentimes the planets are kind of the mission. Like you're in a ship,
Right.
and then you're either on like a moon or on a planet, but the planet is the big missions. So each time you go to a planet, you can excise 5 of these parts of yourselves to create items. But it is frowned upon to create projectile weapons or leave them behind. You actually lose life when you lose bits of yourself like that on planets. Your reason, we talked about this, it is literally the reason you became a death agent. It's the only memory that death wants you to have. And it's your own rationale, and you can really, your reason heavily informs your memories when they start to be revealed through play, but may also include plot hooks, important locations, or noteworthy characters. And then your memories, you do not begin with any. They emerge as you play, showing glimpses of your soul's existence before death. Players write up to 4 memories here. Wait. Players do not begin play with any memories, but then it says players write up to 4 memories here. Maybe like as you play, you can only have 4,
they can
right?
have up to 4.
Gotcha. Yeah. Individual memories are not reliable or objectively true. Revealing more memories shows a more well-defined picture. Yep. And having more memories raises your life score, taking you further from your role as a death agent. And then the final part of the character sheet, if I remember correctly, is your title. It is the basic information noted on your is your death agent title. It is your call sign. It is an identifying designation for your current form, unrelated to your true pre-death name. So I think call sign is the best thing. It's just like, what's your death agent name?
It's your agent name. Yeah, it's your secret agent name. It's your handle, your call sign. Yeah, and they have like a cool little roll table that has D66 options for it.
I need to just bring up a roll table. I think I have one here in TTRPGs. Maybe I rolled it in the D&D section. It's literally just, roll 2d6. 14. 1 and 4. So my agent name would be Maze. That's dope.
Nice.
Yeah. Want me to roll one for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
42. It is the meaning to life, the universe, and everything. You are Dive.
I'm Dive.
Dive. Maze and Dive.
This is your boy Dive.
Yeah. Some of them are real, like Quasar, Crater, Stag, Stonefly.
I'm Mega.
Mega. I'm Giga Chat. No, so the reasons are really interesting too. Like they literally give you, I love that they do the D66 like kind of like prompts for like, of course you can make your own, but the first time you play, there's no reason. So what is my reason? And again, it's the D66. 65 on a D66. What is number 65? So the reason on 6 and 5.
Your once thriving god demanded penance for your countless violent works performed in their name. That's so good for you. Wow, that's an amazing one for you.
What's funny is that's the one that I definitely stopped on and read twice when I was reading through the book the first time, where I was like, that's the one. And I rolled that shit. I don't even look, for those that can see the stream, look, 65 right there.
So good. Hey, roll for me real quick.
Okay. How about you get a 33?
33. You want to read it off since I read yours?
Sure. You Dive. Your reason for becoming a death agent is in search of a fabled crystal golem who can in search of a fabled crystal golem who can sate insatiable hunger. What kind of hunger though? You know what I'm saying?
I'm very hungry. I got that insatiable hunger, you know?
The cat knew what I was saying. All I heard was, I said, you know what I'm saying? And he just,
yeah, she's whining at her babies right now, so.
Good. That's what you get for having them.
Yeah, I know.
Close your legs, little kitty. Players should so rolling dice. We're actually getting to the rolling dice section. What page are we even on? 24. There's about 83 pages in here. Players should roll dice when they attempt an act not within an average person's skill set, when an outcome is uncertain, when the potential consequence of failure is interesting, or when the potential results of success is interesting. If above criteria are met, the player can choose to use words of power. One of my favorite things about D6 system, you will learn that very, very much so on Thursdays, for the next couple weeks, doing Victory Basic, again by Source of Victory, my favorite content creator. One of the main rules of the entire concept of D6 is that every single roll has consequences. You will not necessarily be killed by a monster unless you initiate combat with that monster because you chose to roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it did in some way your action. So every choice you make could potentially have either great success or great failure, but it's not like nothing happens. And in games like this, exactly what this says, you don't roll just to roll. Like if in 5e, I might have someone search through a desk and have them actually roll investigation to find that extra little hidden shelf in it or whatever.
Right.
But in a D6 game, I'm not going to have you roll 2d6 to search a desk. I'll just be like, oh, there's shit on the desk, and if they choose to look at it, cool, they find it, and if they don't, they miss it. And that's it, you know? And I like that. I like fewer rolls. I like the game being more focused and not literally
I
just
also
being
like the logical aspect of that, because frankly, if you're going to look through a desk and you're really searching through a desk, you're going to find probably what's ever in that desk, you know?
Exactly. Versus being like, oh, I only rolled a 10. DC was 12.
I rolled an 8 for fucking perception, but it's like, but you're looking at the desk. Who cares what you roll? Yeah, sorry.
Exactly.
Keep going.
So I love 2d6 systems. So and this system uses a roll under mechanic. So basically, using words of power, you roll under the word's value. So as we said before, a word starts with the value of, I believe it was 6, and then there are ways for those values to increase. You have to roll under that. So as we said before, as that number increases, it's easier to roll under it. Rolling under the word's value indicates success. So you channeled, the power is channeled exactly as you intended it. You describe how to use your power and choose a word from your collection to inspire narration of a pre-agency memory that you recall in this moment and erase the word.
Ooh.
Write that memory on your character sheet with a starting value of 7. So basically, if you use a word, so let's say this again. I read this like 2 or 3 times just to make sure I was, and I'm still like, I really want to play it. The power is channeled as intended. Describe how you use your power and choose a word from your collection, word capital W, to inspire narration of a pre-agency memory that you recall in this moment and erase the word. So you're actually erasing the word from your collection using your word of power to take that and generate a memory. And we'll talk about what happens when you generate a memory in a little bit. And then as you write the memory on a character sheet with a starting value of 7. Rolling over the word's value indicates failure or consequence. The word rejects your call. You add an affix, letter, or word to this word of power and increase its value by 1. While the new word's applications become more limited, it becomes more reliable. So the more you use it, the weirder the word gets, because you have to add another word or another letter or more to it. Right. And the bigger it gets, or the more you have to add to it, kind of the more specific it kind of gets, because you can't really make things more broad by making it longer. Exactly. But as it said, the value of it increases by 1, becomes more limited but more reliable, which is a really cool concept.
Ryan, you tried to use the word warthog and you failed. What are you going to add to it?
I don't know. I know. So that's the other thing, is just like, how much do you have to add to things?
I mean, letters or a word. Assuming you could make it, you could giant warthog. I mean, I think that would go with me, because it says add affixes, letters, or a word.
So, an affix is literally, that's the combined word of a prefix or a suffix.
Right.
Okay. I don't even know. What I just say, warthogs? I don't. I probably feel like I need to add more than that. Warthogged.
I would pull up, but my thing is, would you let your player characters jumble the letters to make a new word, or would you make them just add to the word warthog?
I think you would have to. I don't think because there's things you do later where you jumble the word, like actually
that's true.
in the equal to you fracture the word and create a new word with it. So I wouldn't let them do that.
Okay.
But it may be like warthog tide, right? Like create like a little like thing, and now instead of having the whole concept of warthog there, you have this like hog tide aspect. So now it's like you restrict it to more of like a kind of restraining thing as
I would allow
opposed
that.
to yeah. So you can do something like that. But the equal to is interesting. I haven't seen a lot of D6 where it's like when you hit equal to. So when you hit equal, it's an exceptional success. This is basically the version of a crit. Instead of doing like double ones or double sixes, if you hit dead on the number, you get exceptional success. And real quick side note,
one thing, gratuitous display of power.
Yeah. One thing I really like about this too, through this entire book and all this kind of like heady stuff, if you go to the last 2 pages, there's a complete breakdown of how the game, of the actual game's rolling mechanics, which like you really, really need. So the GM describes, the GM describes your gratuitous display of power as the word overloads. You erase the word of power. You remove at least 1 letter from the expended word and use the remaining letters to create a new word of power with a value 1 higher than the expended word. Correct spelling does not matter. So there's an example here too. Using expended letters to form a single new word for your collection, or consume them for life. For every letter past 1 that goes unused in a fracture, gain 1 life. So the word is dangerous, which is 9 letters long, and it fractures and becomes rouge, not rogue, rouge. And which is only 5 letters. So you have 4 letters left. The player can choose between adding the word sand to their collection, because that's what the letters left spell out, or they can gain 3 life, because it's every letter past the first one.
Right.
So you can either add...
So if you're almost dead...
Yeah.
You're almost
or if you're short on collection words, because the collection words are what you have to use to create memories. So are you trying to get closer to 30 or closer to 0? Do you have too much life and you want to come down? Then you could No, I guess. Well, so it's either your current life or the potential to increase your life overall, I guess. Yeah. So
yeah, that makes sense. Because it's either you use it and you gain some life, or you give yourself a memory, which increases your total life, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because the memory stuff scores too. We'll get some memories. Memories right here. If an aspect of an agent's past could explain expertise at the proposed action, so you can actually use a memory to roll too. You don't just have to use your word of power. Same concept. You roll under a memory's value. Describe how channeling your memory inspires your desired action, improves your character's situation. Gain D6 life. So that's the other thing. So basically you can gain life now, like that's 3 points, or you potentially put the word in your collection. And when you use to create memories, and when you use a memory and roll under, you get D6 life. So it's kind of like it's a choice thing. Like, is it like, do you get a benefit now or a potential benefit later? Do you need those 3 points in your life now, or do you want to potentially use that in your collection to use a word of power to create a memory to then potentially get D6 life later? So, rolling over the memory's value indicates failure. Describe additional context of that memory. The GM will describe how your attempt worsens the situation, and you add +1 to that memory's value. So it makes your situation worse, but then the memory itself has an increased value, so it's easier to roll under. Or rolling equal to the memory is an exceptional success. Describe your intended result. Allow the GM to describe how your intentions are surpassed with extreme power, and you gain 6 life. Not D6 life, 6 life. Just
straight up 6 life.
Straight up. Yeah.
Straight up.
And then luck is another thing you can roll. So you can roll words of power, memories, or luck, I believe, are the 3 things you can roll. And then it talks about items. So if you're attempting a difficult situation that does not have a word of power or a memory assigned to it, you can roll under your luck score. You describe how you manage to accomplish your goal, and the GM offers complications or consequences. So it's kind of like a partial success, right? Like even if you succeed, it's more like a partial success.
Because you're just going off luck, you know? You're not using any special powers or skills. You're like, man, fuck, I hope I just hit this shit, you know?
Yep. And then, but if you roll over, the GM describes how you fail and things get worse, and you increase your luck value by 1. So one thing I really like about this game, too, is that your failures cause problems for you, but then also make things a little bit, quote-unquote, easier for you. So whenever you fail, you increase values in a roll under system. Right? So, yeah.
That's cool.
Great.
I mean, yeah, it definitely encourages you to keep trying after failure because it makes it just a little bit easier to succeed later on down the line.
Which I think is important in a game like this, because if you're constantly failing and getting nothing out of it, I feel like that really takes you, like, it can start to get you down and really pull you out of a headspace that you need for that creative mindset and that narrative focus that you're really trying to do.
Kind of be going like almost like a positive state to like really generate creative ideas. Yeah, it's really cool. Actually, this whole like the way that they use 2d6 in this like roll under, roll over, and hit system, I really, really like. Yeah,
I really like the concept of the equal to. I really enjoy that a lot.
It's really cool. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I mean, for 2d6, I'm mostly used to Powered by the Apocalypse type stuff, which is, you know, obviously it's bracketed, success, partial success, failure. But yeah, I like the rolling equal to. I might steal that for something down the line. It's a good mechanic.
Yeah, no, it's neat. Yeah, instead of like success, partial success, failure, exactly like you just said, you either you do it, you don't, or you do it really, really well. So it really it takes away the whole concept of like partial successes for the most part, except for luck, and really just gives you good, really good, or a little bad. So I feel like this game isn't super punishing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's more encouraging. You might have to be a little bit more specific with some of the things you say, but it makes things a little bit easier and a little bit easier. But the other thing too is like, as things become easier, you get more life. You get closer to, 30 and being retired. So it's sometimes that could work against you if you're trying to be a death agent and not really working towards
definitely a balance sentience to be had here. I mean, because what happens when you have this character and you have all these words and like, you've gotten so far with them, and it's like, you got to 30 life, bro. That character's done.
Well, the other thing too is, narratively, the journey to get from 6 to 30 with the memories that you've had to unlock that other people have heard, I feel like as a character that the player is playing, like, you really have to, and it even says in the book, like, you really need to bring that into the game, where if you're at like 25, you're literally basically not even like gas anymore. You're almost like solid. A physical being. So there's a lot of the Death Knight's coming, you know what I mean? So yeah. The next section is items.
Death Knight, dude. It's complicated paperwork.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Totally unsubstantiated rumors.
Yeah, that is just a rumor. Death Knights do not exist. I'm sorry about that. We're gonna edit that part out. We're gonna strike that. So more great. So one of the things we're not talking about a lot, especially because this is a podcast, is the art throughout the entire book. Like A to B, beginning to end. We can talk about it on every single page, so we're not going to. But killer, great graphic here with just the word items really sprawled on this page. Really gives you just, I don't know, everything just gives you a sense and a vibe. You know what I mean? It's hard to describe sometimes, but as Hunter said,
guys, I can describe it perfectly. It's hella vibey, y'all. For podcast land, it's big old vibes.
Yep. You got that? Did you get those out there? They Hunter said it earlier. Basically, every page you get to in every new section, is done artistically in a way to really make you kind of invest and feel what is trying to be said in that section, which is just fantastic. So items. Remember, you get 5 per planet. While the Death Agent's malleable gas form helpfully adapts to any planet's ecology and atmosphere, albeit with minimal painful side effects, this leaves them unable to carry material possessions between planets. So you can physically alter to allow momentary mitosis, creation of distinct physical items to accomplish the given task. And you literally take a chunk of your noxious gas self and create something. So like if you're in combat and you got nothing, you can rip off a chunk of yourself, turn it into a sword, and start slaying things. Yeah. So when you use an
It's so bizarro. Like, it's so good. Like, every moment of this is fantastic, but it's
so
like,
good.
Yeah, you can rip a piece of your noxious gas body off and create like a physical like item from it. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's genius.
So when you use mechanically, when you use an item in conjunction with a word of power, memory, or luck, you roll you reduce the result by 2, which is huge on a D6 system. At least I know, again, so this is not a partial success system, but in a partial success system, the swing is like 3. Like, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get you from 7 to 10 is only 3 points. So reducing the result by 2 is massive as far as keeping things under, when you can only roll for a total of like 11 different scores. You know what I mean? Items are limited, they're mundane, etc., etc. The physical extensions of the body should not be left behind or used as projectile weapons, except in the most dire of circumstances. Doing thus threatens the stability of the agent's gaseous form and the soul inside. If you still need to do that in desperate circumstances, though, the GM chooses... It's serially painful and costs life. The GM chooses based on the intensity of the severed item, ranging from 1, a small palm-sized projectile, to 6, a powerful cannon, trap, or cloud creature. The spiritual pain this inflicts should be reflected in the narrative. You can withstand the formation of 5 items per planet. So basically, it's up to the GM's interpretation on if you leave something behind or create a projectile weapon, how much it hurts you when you leave.
Because it's a piece of you, you know, and you're not, like, everything else was to keep on you, because again, essentially, I guess the assumption is it gets reabsorbed. But yeah, if you're using a projectile weapon, it's not coming. I mean, it's a projectile weapon; it's not coming back.
Or if you leave it down there, you can take a chunk of yourself, leave it down, and create a trap to snare something because you need to get away. But that snare is still down there. When you leave, you're losing some life chunks, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I thought was interesting here, and I totally missed the first time I read this, was that items still need to be used in conjunction with a memory, luck, or a word of power. They're not a substitute for any one of those things. They're a additional little minus to your outcome.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Yeah, it's a bonus to whatever you're trying to do. So you get 5. So use them, right? But don't use them all, because then you lose them. No. So you lose life. Words of power, memory, or luck. Establish to use a word of power, memory, or luck roll. Establish your shared goal and describe how you intend to help. Oh, so this is helping other agents. I really, really like this part. Really, really like. There's a bunch of times where I was like, damn, that's cool. I really like this. Yeah. Basically, you can use a word of power, memory, or luck roll. Establish a shared goal you want with somebody else. And basically give the other player advantage, which means they roll 3d6 instead of 2d6, and then I get choose the ones that they want. The thing is, though, the assistant assumes a risk without any reward. So if the attempt succeeds, the player that you're helping succeeds at what they want to do. You don't get shit. You just get to help them. You get the joy of helping your fellow Death Agent. That's what you get.
You're a good teammate. You're a good buddy.
Good job. Gold star. That's what you get. But if that player still fails, you suffer the same consequences they do. So if there is no benefit to you to help someone except helping someone, and I love that. I love that. I'm not gonna get into the shopping cart theory of shitty people, but it reminds me of that a little bit. You know what I mean? You're helping someone just to help someone.
Oh yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I think we've gone over this before. I wouldn't mind you touching base on it anyway. But
so the shopping cart theory, and now we can talk about other theories like masks and stuff. But the shopping cart theory is basically like, are you a shitty person or not? There is no consequence to not putting a cart back in a cart corral or taking it back to the front of the parking lot, right? There's no consequence. You're not going to get arrested. You're not going to go to jail. None of that's going to happen. But everyone knows it's the right thing to do. Everyone knows that if you don't,
or are you not an asshole?
Everyone knows if you don't put your cart back, you're making more work for somebody else. And either the worker that has to pick it up or the person that's trying to park, and you put your dumbass fucking cart in the way. But again, there's no consequences for not doing it. You just know it's the right thing to do. Do you or don't you? And that's really that's an easy way to be like, do you suck or not? I have to. And my wife hates when people don't and will walk away from me in parking lots because I am a sarcastic asshole. And when I see someone literally pop a cart up on a rail, I have this innate desire to just be like, that's where that belongs. Good job. That looks like a cart corral. You honestly, go, dude,
It's so funny. You and I are so different, but the one thing we do is shame people in public or bully people in public for being an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am confrontational about people being assholes in public. I'm like,
absolutely.
Cool. Very cool. Way to be a human,
Yep. And what's great is if you do it like that, because that's exactly how I say it. It takes like 3 or 4 seconds for their gears to wind and by then I'm already walked away. Yeah. So you just get that fuck you buddy from like behind or whatever. But I'm also the person who, like, if I'm walking from my car to the store and there's a cart on the way, I will detour to get that cart. Yeah, why the fuck not? Why would
it's right there?
Yeah, literally right there.
For the record, I was a cart pusher at Sam's Club when I was like 17 for like 8 months. And if you haven't put your cart away, fuck you, because those guys don't get paid shit and they're outdoors all day and everyone yells at them. Put your fucking cart away.
That's it. Back to Necronautilus. This reminded me of that a little bit. In the concept of you don't get anything for helping somebody else except that you help somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really like that a lot. But you do get advantage, which in a 2d6 system is cool. Advantage and disadvantage. Basically, you roll 3 instead of 2, and you get whatever you want. To avoid these consequences, agents can instead use a word from their collection as I really like this too, because collections become memories, right? Instead of using a word of power or memory or whatever and giving someone advantage, you can instead sacrifice one of the words from your collection as a single use assist, offer the word and dictate how it compounds with their word, memory, or luck in that instant. Erase the word, and this grants the dice rolling player -1. So basically, instead of giving them advantage and suffering the consequences, if you want to help them without it hurting you, you can sack one of your words from your collection to give them a -1, which is good. Remember, it's roll under, as opposed to giving them advantage, which is an interesting kind of more subtle way to help somebody if you're sitting on like 9 words in your collection or something like that, and you can toss that around. But again, you got to have those collection words to create memories. So the rush. Oh yeah. 0, the rush. When an agent's life reaches 0, their consciousness is temporarily disabled until the battle, puzzle, or current complication is resolved. During this time, the agent experiences a rush. Instead of sensory input of planetary action, they are bombarded with profound awareness of the moment their reason was established. So basically, the player then has to expound on the context, feelings, people, places, details, everything of that, the memory from your reason. And the revelation can be intensely deep for an agent. Upon exiting a rush, the death agent regains their gaseous form. Mechanically, add any aspect of your rush to your memories list with a starting value of 7. So as you dig deeper into your reason, when you have this rush from hitting 0, you get to actually add a memory to your list with a value of 7. Your luck resets to 6. You regain 1d3. Don't forget, it's a d6 system, so you just take a d6 and half it. Erase your word of power with the highest value, and then choose whichever one you want if there's a tie, And lastly, you draw a hatch mark on your character sheet under your title. So basically, you kind of reset a little bit. You get a memory. You lose a word of power. You lose your highest level word of power, which again, it's probably more specific but more reliable.
Right.
But you get this hash mark. And basically, collecting 3 hash marks is disciplinary action and field assessment by undercover operatives. And collecting 5 hash marks results in suspension and potential expulsion from the agency. A representative, who is not a Death Knight, trust us.
Definitely not a Death Knight. There is no such thing as Death Knights.
Nope, just rumors. Will come to collect you. And this is, I love this page. We're on page 29 at this point. It is Max. So Rush and Max are the two. The interesting thing too, though, is like this is an LJ, right? I'm curious. Do you know what this means? LJ?
LJ.
I feel like I'm dumb and I'm missing something very obvious.
Life joint, bruh. I don't fuck if I know.
Oh, you know what? It is life, because this says LI on this page.
LIFE. It's life.
If it was a spread, because we're reading it as pages, it would just say life. I was like, well, I know.
I have the spread open on my screen, guy.
Because I know FE is iron. I was like, I wonder what LI is if FE is iron. Nope, I'm a dumbass. It just spells life when you put it together. There you go, guys. That's page 28 and 29. Light, Max, 30. During a mission, an agent may acquire up to 30 life by avoiding harm and engaging with memories. At this level, the agent more closely resembles their former self, having moved far from their refined death agent manifestation. And infected by recollection, the gas cloud surrounding the soul solidifies into an approximation of the soul's once living form. Basically, again, you are not a death cloud anymore. You are a solid physical being, whether you meant to do that or not. Your past experiences are restored, and the agent can now exist similar to their time before becoming a death agent. They retain clear recollection of their time as an agent, but any missing memories stay missing. So you remember what you did as death agent, you become solid, but the only things you remember are the memories that you uncovered while you were a death agent.
So it's almost like not totally coming back anyway. You're like partially alive.
Yeah. But you're alive now and can start to create new memories and things like that too, instead of just unlocking secret ones. Yeah.
And just not to like cut in, but just to circle back with Rush specifically, because I think in games there's so often like, yeah, you go down and you're down and you kind of just sit there and you roll to survive. But this is such an active way, like your character's in Rush, it's down. So what is it going through? What's it experiencing right now? Which is so unique, because usually it's like, yeah, you're prone, you're on the ground, and if somebody coup d'etats you, you're fucked. So make a few death saving rolls.
It even talks about because you're supposed to literally describe, like you just said, like this revelation, the reason that you became a death agent. You're supposed to go deeper and deeper into that reason and the things around it. It says your group may wish to cut between the rush and the ongoing conflict to maintain the game's momentum. So you can literally like go back and forth where like the game is happening and then it cuts back to your memory, and then your combat's going and it cuts back to your memory. And like you just said, it doesn't leave you like feeling like you are left out.
Very cool. Super cool.
I really like it. So when you hit max, you describe briefly the look of your recollected physical form, the location you choose to continue your existence in this afterlife, and a brief scene of your retirement from death service. If you wish to continue playing, make a new death agent. So this feels like you're not supposed to get there, but it's kind of an inevitable. Like death isn't like you're murdered. It's just like, all right, peace, homie. Like one of us will be seeing you, you know? So now we're getting into examples, which I think is really, really important. Why don't we pick like one or two of these examples, and you pick one, and I'll be the GM and you be the player, and then I'll pick one and you be the GM and I'll be the player, and we'll act it out.
I actually really remember enjoying one, so I'm gonna start with one.
Okay. Do you want to be the GM on that, or?
Yeah, I'll be GM.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You've safely landed on the planet's
surface. Wait. Number one is word of power success with a memory generation. So this is how you
sorry.
succeed on a word of power and generate a memory. Go for it.
Okay, GM. All right, you safely landed on the planet's surface and disembarked. The Nautilus is going in satellite mode and is sort of floating around the planet since it risks sinking into the purple sand everywhere. So just summon it when you're ready. Your cloud form hovers over the sand, so you are not at risk of sinking. But as you look around, the sand sort of ripples and bubbles around you. Then these silver spires pop up surrounding you. There are now 6 obelisk champions around you. These mantis-like legs scurry on the sand to keep afloat, and their heads have these 10-foot-long metal obelisks that they duck and charge to use like lances and attack. What do you do?
As Daniel. Whoa! I have volcanic as a word worth 6. So I want to generate extreme heat for my body and hopefully melt their metal spire heads before they hurt us.
Hell yeah, roll for it.
Daniel rolls 2d6, yielding a 3 and a 1 for a total of 4, which is under the word of power's value of 6. The action succeeds.
All right. You're going to get to do that. Before I say what happens, tell us about the memory that flashes in your mind when you channel this power.
Daniel. I have the word bicycle in my collection. Okay, so I see the shiny spear coming my way, and it makes me think of a time back when I had a body. I was at a jousting competition where we'd use these aluminum weapons that crinkle up on impact so you could really easily see who struck because we were moving so fast on these motorcycles. It was a fun thing, like dumb teenagers did it. Not a serious competition, but it made me quick to react seeing metal spears coming at me. So Daniel removes bicycle from their collection and writes motorcycle jousting in their memories.
Hell yeah.
Giving it a value of 7. The GM fills in 1 segment of the obelisk champion's clock. And the clocks we'll get to soon. I love the clocks, dude.
Yeah, clocks are pretty cool.
I love the clocks. So
it's a cool mechanism for success, like for getting through. We'll get there.
Yeah. So then I'll pick I think the word I kind of want to do a failure, but I like the word fracture. So let's do the word fracture. All right. Exceptional success, word fracture. GM, the oil Goliath in front of you lets out another roar in pain as you continue your onslaught to keep it away from the village nearby. This one is loud enough that the ground around you actually shakes and a fissure opens. You've almost beat it, but it still has some fight left in it as it doubles down and stands in defiance in front of you. What do?
I'm Quincy. This fissure gives me an idea. I have the word crowbar in my collection, and we're at the end of a mission. So I'm going to move it to my words of power. Quincy erases crowbar from his collection and puts it in his list of words of power with a value of 6. Quincy then rolls a d6 that yields a 2. So he reduces his life by 2. I'm still standing. So I want to use crowbar to magically wedge open the fissure in the ground that the Goliath made and hope it'll pour down the crack and back into the planet so we can get away.
That's inspired. I like it. Ooh, there's another voice.
Okay, now I'm Brain. It's Brian, but we're going to say Brain, who is a different character than Quincy. Wait, I have shielded in my collection. Can I throw that in and make the crowbar extra strong?
Hell yeah, you can. And since you're lending a collection word, you're off the hook if it fails.
Nice. So Brian erases shielded from their collection. Quincy rolls 2d6, results in a 4 and a 3 for a total of 7, but is reduced by 1 from Brian's assistant, yielding a 6, matching the word's value.
Exceptional success. That rules. So your spectral crowbar wedges itself into these cracks on the planet's surface and it starts to shake under the stress. But Brian's spectral shield reinforces it just in time and you can hear this massive crack. The ground itself has sort of shattered and there is shrapnel floating in the low gravity around you. You can see the Goliath start to sink down into the cracks as this shrapnel tears upward and the creature lets out this screech in pain as it's cleaved into a bunch of small blobs of oil descending into the planet's crust. The GM fills in 2 segments on the oil Goliath's clock, leaving 1 remaining. Quincy's word fractures, so it erases crowbar and in its place writes cobra with value 7 and increases his life by 1 for consuming 1 more letter than necessary. There we go. That is how that works. And then there's a great piece of art. I think it's a 2-page. Yeah, I don't have the spread open. Yeah, there's a great piece of art of a giant creature. And then written on the other page, it says, on every planet, behind every star, in every hollow, danger lies in wait. Yeah, so for as long as you scour the galaxy, you are unsafe. You have died once to be here. You would rather it didn't happen again. Every location you are sent is full of threats that would sever your soul from your form. Again, scrawled on it, be smart, be clever, be careful, be violent, be whatever you need to be to accomplish your mission and get back to your ship in one piece. Again, you gotta buy the book, get the PDF, do what you gotta do, check out this art. It's killer.
Vibey, y'all. We're back to the big vibes that you get.
Hella vibes, right, Dive? So now we get into clocks. Clocks are really, really interesting. Clocks are literally, imagine like a circle with a crosshair. You literally section a circle into 4 pieces. That is a clock. And those values represent whatever it is you're up against. So instead of HP or anything like that, it's literally moments in a puzzle or a combat or something like that. So, for example, they talk about there is a powerful oil-soaked warlord commanding an infantry of mechanical burrowing spiders, presented as warlord, parentheses, 6. So you would make a circle, or whatever shape you want. A circle is the easiest, I guess, with 6 segments on it. So that would be like a line down, a line across, and then another diagonal, or 2, like an X, and then one down the middle. Yeah,
it's a pizza.
It's a pizza. So basically, to break it down really quickly, and we'll go into a little bit more, I guess. But I feel like the clocks are pretty simple, and they go pretty deep into it to explain it. But basically, every time you do an action, somebody does an action, like you use a word of power, you use your luck, you use something, you just do something. Basically, each turn, you are trying to beat this clock. So if I succeed on a use of a word of power on this warlord that's got 6 segments, one of those segments is filled. And you have to succeed on those 6 segments in order to defeat this warlord. But there are times where you can have competing things, and it's not like the entire game revolves around these clocks, except for basically your character. So even like the ship that you're using revolves around the clocks, or even like the mission itself could have a clock involved in it, and you can even have opposing clocks.
Failure clock too.
Yeah, so you can have a failure clock, or you can even have a success and failure clock, so that you say you have a 10-segment success clock and a 10-segment failure clock. You have to get 10 successes before you get 10 failures, or you fail. It's kind of like a skill challenge almost. That's what the clocks. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of just a massisse skill challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd never used clocks before I got this book, which I got this book forever, it feels like. But I actually started using clocks in a lot of games just for the ease of success, or tracking success or failure over tasks or puzzles, or like traversing areas.
Well, I think especially against like monsters and stuff like that, you can really limit the amount of time. Like you're not going to have like a bullet sponge that's literally just going to sit there and soak up 600 points of damage. It's literally just like, I just need you to make 6 successful moves against this thing. That's it. And you create so much more tension. Like I know in our D&D game, I started adding like a health bar to all the bad guys, so characters can see it going down. They don't know the exact health it is, but they can see that it's at half health. Right. It stops people from asking questions. It stops from slowing combat and stuff like that. But this instead, you're still not trying to just tack away damage, and it's not like you have like, oh, I hit you and there's like 5 HP left or something like that, and like, let's grind it out. I mean, if you have 5 HP left on a monster that's got like 600 and you did a cool move, of course you don't have 5 HP left. You're fucking dead. But I do like this idea better of this like ratcheting tension as you get closer and closer to filling this clock. Which is really, really, really interesting concept. There's so many times in this game I'm like, fuck, I like that. Fuck, I like that. The D6 roll under, but not the 2D6 roll under, but not in a Powered by the Apocalypse way.
Right.
You could hack the fuck out of this, and actually there is a license for that. I don't know how much you can like steal the rules versus just running Stellar Remnants. But you could hack the shit out of that basic premise of the exceptional success and stuff like that. So that's really cool. The clock's value is deliberately abstract. Rather than dictate an exact amount of health points, they instead measure how many successful actions. That's what we talked about. We don't need to get. I mean, a lot of this is exactly what I said. I feel like this is one of the easiest concepts in the game to explain.
It's a really good concept that if you've never been introduced to it before, it's really cool. You can read about it here, but it is a very straightforward concept. It measures successes in a non-like granular HP type of way. It's just like, yeah, you need 4 successes to get through this guy, or you need 6, or you need 8. You know?
Yeah. There's fun ways to use this. One of the ones I really like is this Doom Clock. It's a metaphorical or literal time bomb. They track a slow building event, whether visible, like the imminent collapse of an unstable cavern, or invisible. They talk about this at one point where you could have a clock that doesn't, it's an unlabeled clock. So right. as things are happening in the game, you just like fill in a segment.
Fill in portions and don't tell them what's making you fill in portions. Your player characters is just like, wait, what the fuck is this?
It's like when a GM like rolls dice behind the screen without asking anybody anything, and they're just like, huh, okay. Anyway.
Sorry, what's your passive perception?
Yeah, right?
Oh, okay, cool.
Fucking passive scores. Fucking stupid.
They are stupid. Yes, they are
so stupid. I can without trying have a better score than if I was trying. Makes no sense to me. Your passive score should basically be your modifier. So you can't roll less than like a 5 or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is just a basic, like, don't need a roll, so then why use it? So just get rid of it. Passive scores are dumb. Like, you can have a passive perception of like 18 at like 3rd level. So you literally are just like, oh, I'm just chilling, not paying attention at all, but I see everything. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take my passive perception every time we have to roll for it. It's 18.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Anyway, so you can use the clocks for threats, for opposition. You can use it for like a mission clock, like we talked about earlier. So you literally like they talk about this like a versus clock, failure versus success clock. But I like the idea of the mission clock. So basically, they say to be to make your objective for the mission. What do they say? Label the clock of the target, not the method, allowing agents to creatively pursue. So say cultist apprehension, not identify, question, subdue suspected cultists. So they basically say like give them the mission, don't tell them how to do the mission. Right. So I apprehend the cultists.
Frankly, that's a good way to run any game at any point in time. Like, just let your player characters do what they want to fucking do. Just give them a goal, you know?
There you go. That's it. So clocks are neat. Combat is the thing. And a lot of that stuff comes into when we talked about the 2d6 system. Like, this is the things you're going to use your words of power on and things like that. The galaxy is full of potentially violent creatures, each with varied strength, powers, intelligence, and other defining factors. No matter their ability, tracking them in-game is as easy as assigning them a difficulty and a player-facing clock. That's it. Easy ones are like 2, difficult ones are 6 to 8, and there you go. So GMs do not roll to perform attacks. This is completely player facing, which is another thing I love about 2d6 style games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It feels less what's the word I'm looking for? Like confrontational against your players. I'm not rolling against you to hit you, because it's hard too, because like I want players to have fun, but when I crit with my bad guy, I'm like, yeah, fuck you, you know, which feels, you know what I mean? Like,
well, and for me personally, like I really did have a harder time. And my first experience with a player facing rolling only was Cypher System. And it made me realize how much it freed up me to be a narrative guide and to really just focus on the story and the world. Instead of like, oh shit, man, I gotta make sure I'm rolling for, like, I got like 5 bad guys and we're gonna roll for all of them. It's like, no, I just write down their HP now and I track it, you know, but that's nothing.
It. Yeah. I think my first like 2d6 more narrative, like 2d6 style game, like Powered by the Apocalypse game. I know my first Powered by the Apocalypse game was Casket Lands by Marie Anger. which is
Oh
like
yeah, I
right
remember you
there.
saying you're playing
Yeah,
that.
super fun. We're actually going to play that in the month. We're going to do Movember. Um, and then we're going to do Casket Lands like charity event with all of our sweet
Cool.
mustaches as cowboys or whatever, barbers, whatever. And then just have a charity event for like the Movember organization that supports like prostate cancer awareness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so with our sweet Movember stashes, we're gonna run the newer second adventure, Kuroch, by Marie Anger. But that's my first one, and then my second one was Monster of the Week, which is was a really
Right.
cool game too. Yeah. Um, but anyway, so this is a player-facing role. So menaces often attack in return and bombarding in its life form. When this happens, the gym does not roll to perform attacks. Instead, agents use their skills to defend or evade harm. If an agent fails one of those rolls, they lose life points equal to the number of unfilled segments on the attacking creature's clock. Say that again. So if you have a creature that's got 4 like clock segments and it's taken 2 damage already, so there's only 2 segments left, and then that thing is going to attack you, and you fail, you take 2 life damage because it still had 2 segments left on its clock.
Cool.
Yeah. So I don't feel like the game is super. It can be super deadly. I feel like.
Right.
Um, the other thing, I mean, if you only have 6 life and you run up against something with 6 and you miss on your first one and it hits you, there's no roll. It doesn't roll the number of life
No,
it
it
has
just
left.
hits.
It just fucking hits. So it could be really deadly, depending on how you want to balance it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, then you go in the rush and you get a new memory, and then you come
yeah,
back and
there you go.
hopefully.
Defeating an enemy allows a single agent to add a new word to their collection, learned through combat. So this can be a characteristic embodied by a creature. A bone vulture may yield skeletal, carnivore, or scavenge. The battle's location or circumstance, like airborne escorts, or by a particular display of strength by the agent, gallant, bright, or virulent. Only one agent gets a word, and it's generally the person who like filled the last segment of the clock, unless someone was just fucking hardcore MVP. And basically, the rewarded agent should be one who either made the most substantial progress against the clock or filled the last segment, but at the GM's discretion, an especially strenuous or impressive combat might warrant words to additional players. So for the most part, you either obviously kicked the thing's ass, you took out 5 of the 6 segments and someone finished it off, you get the word, or if everyone kind of ticked it down and you got the last one, you get the word.
Cool.
And I know that in missions, everyone gets a word at the end. But in combat, only the person that does it. And again, I really like the way that they reward that stuff. So next is, we're talking about the Nautilus, which is the ship, which is the whole, the Nautilus part of Necronautilus. It's literally like your death ship. What page are we
It's
on?
a fucking cool ship. Really reminds me of a Spelljammer ship, you know?
It is a Nautilus, bro.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So.
You know what I mean? Like a Nautilus is like a real creature. It's like a sea creature. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But like all the Spelljammer ships were based on sea creatures of the real. So it's like,
yeah.
I actually think they even might have had a Nautilus Spelljammer ship.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
But there's a great piece of art of like a Nautilus with all these like kind of like humanoid reptile creatures, kind of like
hanging
I was gonna
off
say,
of it.
Yeah, hanging off. I was gonna say Trogdor, but that's troglodyte kind of looking creatures, like lizard folk. Yeah. So you have a ship, and long story short, each different part of the ship has a clock. Your engine and propulsion, your navigation and communication, your weapons defense, and your operational system are all parts of a clock. This is the part I need to read again. I don't like, aside from the storage where you can keep, bonus collected words, which is really, really cool. I don't understand the point. Because there is space combat. There is like, combat between stars and stuff.
There's the potential for space combat, yes.
Right. You give your ship a name. It's composed of modules. The engine and propulsion is obviously what keeps it moving. Be mindful not to run out of energy between planets. I don't know if because it's a clock system, if it's just like, all right, we use a boost. Okay, that uses one of your clock pieces kind of situation.
I think it's if you go down to engage a module on 42.
To engage a module, converse with the group to describe your goal, which module to use, and how you want to do it. Consider how you can interpret the module's word to accomplish your desired effect. When consensus is reached, one agent explicitly confirms the goal, then rolls. Okay, so like if you want to send a message to home base, you have to initiate the communication system.
Right.
And you have to roll to do that. If you want to fire up the engines and fly towards, that moon, you have to initiate the engine system. Okay, okay. Now I get it. All right. Weapons and defense system, exactly. The nod list has a condition value represented by a clock with 8 segments. Segments fill when the ship suffers complications and mechanical damage, preventing modules from working properly. An agent may only conduct repairs when the ship is parked on a planet, and agents are not under any immediate threat. To do so, spend 1 word from your collection or the ship's storage per segment of the condition clock you wish to erase. Words don't need to be interpreted for repairs, they are simply spent. So one of the cool things I do really like is storage. Did I skip over storage? Or have we not got to storage yet?
It's on 43.
Okay. So storage is really neat because you get to actually take like extra words from your collection. So the Nautilus contains storage area for up to 6 excess words. Agents may remotely deposit words while in the field, but stored words may only be accessed or used. So if you're at like 9 words in your collection, but you're still going through a situation where you could add words to your collection, you can actually remotely store words from your collection into the ship storage, up to 6 total across the entire thing. So you can free up to make sure that you don't run out of words when you're in the middle of a mission, which is really, really cool. But you have to be in the ship in order to access them, but you can store them from anywhere. And then you can also use the stored words to enhance modules, which is really cool. Combine and interpret words together, describing how it enhances and amends the module, then immediately dispose of the supplemental word. So you could use a storage word to boost like the weapons or something like that, which is really, really neat. Rolling equal or lower to your ship's current condition indicates success. You fill in, explain how the situation improves, and then you fill in 1 segment of the module's clock, which means you're filling in the module. So even if you succeed, you're spending the ship, If you roll higher than your ship's current condition, you fill in a segment of the module's clock and 1 segment of the ship's condition clock. So you spend, if you succeed, on the weapons, right? You fill in 1 weapon segment. If you fail on the weapons, you fill in a weapon segment and 1 of the 8 segments of your condition clock. And the GM tells you how you sucked. Once all segments of a module are filled, the word is destroyed. Erase the segments in the word itself. During a calm moment, fill in the module with a new word from the ship's storage or any agent's collection. So that's the Nautilus and storage.
So much like everything else, it's really tied to your word of power, your collection's word of power, and the storage word of power. And to use your modules, you are engaging a word. And it's interesting because you can assign a word to a module, and then you have to elaborate on how that word functions in that module. Whereas I think you said to repair, I think you just burn a word essentially. Doesn't really matter how it's described. You're just burning the power of a word. So like your weapon system, my weapon system or use of it could look really different from somebody else's, depending on like what word I plug into I might plug in the word lightning to my weapon system, and it might shoot fucking lightning laser beams, and you might plug in the word cannon or explosion and might shoot bombs, So it's cool, I like it. It's like a customizable shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry,
you were real quiet there for a second.
Messing with my mic. Well, I heard my bottle click, and I'm like, I use NVIDIA Broadcast. How did that click? And then on this window, I must have changed it to regular mic source, not NVIDIA Broadcast, because you shouldn't hear this.
I don't hear it.
Which you don't now. But you did hear it earlier. So the next part is spacefaring combat. Spacefaring complications.
Complications.
Yeah. So, as a Nautilus leaves a planet entering danger space between stars, you roll D66 twice, and let the players choose one of the resulting problems, and then you check the spacefaring complications table and see what happens to you. So where is that table? Right here. So I'm going to roll 32.
32. 32
What
is going to
happens?
be Hell's menacing fleet quietly assembles between you and your destination.
Such a
What
good
the
one.
fuck, dude? How do you do that?
Man, I'm just it's the game. I mean, it's me a little bit, but it's mostly the game. But yeah, so basically, yeah. Oh, we get to roll it twice.
Yeah, you have to roll. Yeah, 2.
51.
You want to read this one?
Sure. Another Nautilus freezes your ship. The agents want to interrogate your group in search of a defected agent. I like the Hell one better. I mean,
no, the Hell one is definitely the one. As a player character, I'd be like, oh no, the Hell Fleet one.
Hell one is hella cool.
Also, I love that. Like, there's no like, and we said this very right out about. There's no ideas that are so outside of the box you can't use them. Like, you're in Death's Domain, but Hell's Fleet, the fleet of ships from Hell, can be there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been fucking such a cool ass game.
It is a cool ass game. So basically, spacefaring threats are similarly represented by clocks. No matter the number of unfilled segments, each failed action only results in 1 damage to the ship's condition. So that's the thing. When you're doing spacefaring threats, it's directly onto your condition clock.
Right.
Yeah. Returning to the Nautilus. At the mission's end, the Death Agents return to the ship. You compose reports. You do a bunch of stuff. When you reboard the vessel, you restore your agent's life to 6, or if over 6 life, keep it where it is. So if you're over 6, you only get to 6. You purge an existing word of power and gain life equal to that word's value. Do you have to do this, or are these things you can do? You perform the... It says, yeah, so you purge a word of power, and you gain life equal to the word's value if your agent experienced a rush. Oh, that's if you experienced a rush. We already talked about that. You erase your item uses, leaving all 5 teeth exposed. You deposit any undesired words from your collection into the ship's storage. You retrieve any desired words from your storage and add them to your collection. You take stock, which means you speak and to each other. You contact the agency, and the GM rolls spacefaring complications. There's a graphic that says the space between planets and stars.
Let's not roll past contact, because contact the agency if necessary about a fellow agent's behaviors. So listen, if you want to rat on your fucking friends.
No, but you should. It straight up says, while in fiction these conversations are private and occur over a secure psychic frequency, in reality all players should hear this to fuel dramatic irony and inter-character drama. So, yeah. Good times. Oh, there's other places that you can visit, like moons, which are very similar to storage, but there is a time where you can be outside before the vacuum
of space.
What does it say? No, not the vacuum of space. It says like immense radiation through open space.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Atmosphere.
Exactly. But otherwise, you can do things like you can do on storage, or you can build stations and satellites, which is similar with the spacewalk and things like that, and have similar situations to moons. More beautiful, cool art graphic stuff. Giant face. That's amazing. What does this say? I tried to read it earlier. Planet.
Generation.
Generation. Yeah.
As our balanced galaxy. If you want to... Like, there's such, like, this is another book that has a great example of roll tables that are immediately useful and quickly useful. Like, you can pick this up with your buddies, play right now, and generate most of it through just rolling. As long as you know.
Well, and what's great too is that most of the time the roll tables directly follow when you need them. So you talk about D66 words of power, then you got 2 pages of words of power. It's not like you have to like just go to the back of the book to find the roll table, you know? Oh, there's a procedure for building a planet. Planets exist in quantum state before your arrival and are actualized as agent. So the GM creates or chooses a sentence template. So let's say I'll roll for a sentence template. The first one is a 3. So it's a planet that blank and defines a blank. And the GM chooses 2 words to insert into that. The GM chooses words or sources from the agent's collections, 1 for each of the sentence's blank spots. And then the GM rolls to determine what each word describes about the planet, then relays the information to agents. So on 2d6, the first word would describe the ecology, and the second word would describe the conflicts. And you're actually pulling those words from the agent's collections, which is neat. And then number 4, you can optionally add additional interest and information by rolling on these. So what is hidden or unseen, and how populated is a planet? I rolled a 41, so it's shared memories with agents is what's hidden or unseen. Okay. And number 1 is sprawling cities thriving full of life. And that is how you create a planet. There's a whole section on creature creation. Do you want to go over that at all?
I mean, it's cool. It's here. If you guys want to look over it, it works in a very similar way. It's more roll tables that kind of are fill in the play. They're essentially Mad Libs, but not as corny.
Yeah. There's a section on reactions. So basically you roll every time you encounter a new group of people, animals, things, whatever. You can actually roll a reaction to see how those things will react to you. And
shout out Murpor.
yeah. But it also depends on how you approach them as well. So on a 4, they're wary and they may lie, sabotage, or be unwilling to help. And that's for people and beasts and everything. Oh, I like it. It says nothing never happens. Actions always progresses, threats continue building, clocks keep ticking, and agents go on executing. Consequences are often obvious. Failure to scale a cliff results in painful fall. Failure to evade a fire blast results in scales of burns. So that's one of those other things where it's like the whole concept of like, you know, every roll runs a risk. Like nothing, right. It's not. There's never a time where nothing happens. Something always happens. Mission generation is neat. It's the structure of play. So what dangers await you? Again, it's roll tables immediately. So this is one of the things where I would definitely roll on it to play my first game or two, and then once I grasp it better, I write my own. But there's a D6 for what dangers await you, a D6 for what complications await. So let's see here. We got 22. So mysterious people with unknown motives, distracting agents, and strange societal structures must be abided by while on the planet.
Oh, interesting.
And the agents land, I rolled a third 2 in a row, just outside the destination with something in the way. There's a mission type, which is number 1. A new mysterious plant crossbreed is set to bloom.
Gotta catalog it, man. Death needs to know.
Wait a minute. It's mission type first. So there's 6 mission types. So I rolled a 1. So it's discovery or exploration. And then I rolled a 3. So a new star appears in the sky, dramatically changing the local climate. So, I mean, there's pages and pages of that.
Dude,
and that's the bulk of the game.
There's so much stuff. You don't ever have to worry about how you're supposed to run this game because they like Adam Vass lays it out. Like, here it is, you know?
Yeah. And then there's a whole section on GM principles. It's basically like how to be a good GM. Like, be a fan of the characters, act as a conductor, like remember that you're a player too. Ask your players correct questions, be a friend, like be on the player's side, basically.
Yeah.
And then there is a whole selection on for the game master. Like Necronautilus can play collaboratively with players. Oh, no. So this is a section on how to run. I wouldn't do this. I just wouldn't. So I'm not going to get too deep into it. But it's basically how to play it GM-less. And you create this concept of like an Eye of Evil and like elements added into it. It's just like I mean, I'd rather just have a GM, you know what I mean?
I mean, but if I'm playing with like Emily, my girlfriend, and Sean, my roommate, and it's just the 3 of us, I might do this, you know, because they'll play games with me, and you know, it's hard sometimes to have I mean, I know now there's so many games that are like 2 players and the GM, but you know, I
Yeah,
kind
but
of
this
like
is, you can play this. You can literally play this like I could GM you through this, and just it would just be you and me. You know what I mean?
that's
It's what
true.
you can do it by yourself. It's literally 1 to 4 players. You can
Yeah,
do the
this is
whole
the
evil
by
eye
yourself
concept
thing,
and
you
run it.
know?
Yeah. Or you can just run it with 3 people without a GM. So basically, it's just a different way to do it. I skimmed through this because as soon as I saw it, I was like, meh. I'd much rather have a GM running it. But this whole section for a couple of pages about this like elements and elemental eye and things like that. There's a map in here too, which we actually both have a copy of. I don't know if it's this map though,
It looks.
because it's just unlabeled. Yeah, no, I mean, maybe it's just labeled in the book, but not labeled on the.
Maybe. Although I will say that maybe my favorite section of the book is next. It's going to be page 64 and 65. It starts with pre-generated like planets and stuff.
Yeah, the
And I
aquatic
specifically
plant.
just what's
No,
up?
what's up? No,
Oh, I just this one planet I just really, really, really liked. It's fucking weird in a really good way. It's very clever. It's
Are you talking
like
about the aquatic planet full of teeth?
yes, it's like an inside out like shark Goliath monster that you're just living in its mouth essentially. That's turned inside out. There's algae folk. It's just
Shark
it's
folk.
like
Yeah.
yeah. It's just
The
weird. It's really well written. It's a very interesting lore that is outside of like the norm. I was very tickled by how good this is.
yeah. A lot of these are really good. Like I like
Yeah.
this one too. We're talking about page 66. Yeah, Planet Devoid, Corpse, Panacea, Tenet, miles of skin stretch over hardened muscle and bone, the surface of
this
a
one's
planet
great
that is
too.
a hub of stability. Yeah, citizens have long survived with ease by harvesting the planet's meaty flesh and poor-grown fungus, which slowly regenerates whenever blemished. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna like throw his entire lore out onto here, but definitely get this, read this. It's really
so
cool.
Good.
And not only does it give you these planet sections, but it gives you missions on the planet, like little adventure seeds, which is fantastic. There's another one. There's a number of these. We can just scroll through these.
And they
Missions
look good.
for.
They all have an individualistic art style to kind of like really drive home that they're different planets, they're different realms, they're unique.
And it looks like these aren't all Adam Vass either. Like some of these are from like different people.
Cool.
So at least this one is. So it says that there's one that's called Ritual, and it's an amphibious planet full of magic by Austin Knight. Being a witch on Ritual only takes dedication to the ceremony and patience. So it's literally like being a witch, which is pretty badass. And again, it gives you mission seeds and everything. So there's like, again, just in this book with a map with like numerous planets that you could be on, with all of the things that you can that are in here. You could roll up a mission, a planet, the bad guys, like all of that stuff super easily. And pick one of these or pick one of these from the back, like I said, and just run with it. But it's like, I think the last like 20 pages are basically just different planets and stuff, which is super cool, filled with art. Oh, Hell is Dead was another one I really loved, obviously.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
The Molten Planet Prison for Tortured Souls is no more. Yeah, really, really bad one. Long Live Hell, really badass. So yeah, I'm just scrolling. Again, get the book to read all this stuff.
There's also the character sheet.
Oh yeah, the character sheet. Yeah,
the Nautilus sheet.
Yep, the character sheet. The Nautilus sheet is really neat. I really like that, and this makes it a lot easier to kind of understand when you have the 6 storage words. You have all of your clocks for the different systems. You have your condition one. So yeah, those in the back are really, really, really necessary and really neat. And then, like I said, the last like 2 pages are just like the actual like rules, like mechanically, broken down for you. So on a spread in the back of the book, you literally get like, it's literally the back cover of the book in the last page. You can just flip to the back and there's a rules reference. Long story short, get this fucking book. This is one of those
book. It's so well designed on so many levels. It's a good game. The game is good. The art's amazing. The lore is fantastic. It's fun to just interact with as an art piece on its own. And I actually kind of want to get that the Hell is Dead tri-faces tattooed on me. That's a pretty cool.
And it's pretty dope.
Ryan knows that right now I'm collecting TTRPG artwork to just do a bunch of black work tattoos on myself, and I think that's
there. You go. Well, not I mean someone that knows what they're doing. Someone that knows what they're doing will do it. You're not tattooing yourself, are you?
No,
oh,
dude.
I was gonna say.
I'm a terrible artist.
I was gonna say. Oh man, I forgot to do something. So we're gonna go to our the review page for this, but it still says Lancer at the top, which is the problem.
We're reviewing Lancer again, y'all.
Reviewing Lancer again, y'all. Give me one hot second. We'll switch that out.
No technical difficulties. We know what we're doing. There's no man behind the curtain, y'all.
We know.
I do have coffee left. Thank God.
So I got some black on black. So let's throw that logo up.
And just for the record, if y'all don't know this, while Ryan works on this, I drink an entire French press of coffee every time we do this podcast. I just sit here and empty an entire French press, and I feel great afterwards.
I go to bed after this. Yeah, because
that's my bedtime. What do you want, cat? Just meowing for nothing.
Well, that's a cat for you. That's what you get. That's what you get for having a cat.
I think she's a mom. She's got 5 babies that run around. She gets a little anxious, so.
Yeah. Again, that's what you get for having a cat.
I technically, right now, if we're really going to get serious about it, I have my 5 cats, the mom that we rescued and her 5 kittens in this room. Sorry, my 4 cats. The mom that we rescued and her 5 kittens in this room. So in this house right now, we have 10 cats.
That sounds awful. That sounds terrible.
The kittens and the mom have their own room. The office, our yoga and fitness and office space. So I don't really know most of the time.
Gotcha. Yeah, this looks really shit, but it's what we got for right now. It just says Necronautilus. I really wish I just had it in white. But it doesn't matter. This isn't the graphic we're going to use anyway. We are going to rate and review Necronautilus right here, right now, on screen. So, art and style. I mean, is this a real question?
I mean, honestly, man, like for me, and I don't know about you, but this is pretty much as close to perfect with art and style as I think that we're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's right up there with like Merkborg. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like, it's literally like it is an art book that is a game to an extent. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and
totally.
not only that, just like Merkborg, the art helps you immerse in the book. It's not just there to be there.
It serves a purpose. Yeah,
absolutely. So I feel like this is an easy 5.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, layout and function. I think I gave Merkborg a 4 for this, and I'll probably feel like this should have a 4 for it too. I would say it's almost a little.
Go ahead.
No, what are you saying? No.
I was gonna say it's very comparable in a lot of ways to Merkborg's layout and function essentially.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost a little bit easier sometimes because sometimes with Merkborg, it almost takes you a second to realize that's not art. That's actually like.
Yeah, that's very fair.
That's
you definitely
rules you
know
need
in this
too.
game. Yeah, Merkborg does do that, and I do. After you figure out, I do enjoy it. But the first time through, you're just like, "Oh shit! Wait, no, it's actually like it's a rule set right there or something."
Yeah. And when we say layout and function, we're not talking about like the layout of the book as far as like a graphic designer sitting down and doing like a layout. We're talking about how the book is laid out as far as like ease of reading. And function as far as how functional it is to actually have the book and be able to go to a page and use that page. You know what I mean?
So it's so good for. I mean, this book is made for that. So
yeah, I mean, but I do think like when it is something that you need to know, it's really well laid out. The font is really well read. I'm just.
Is there any moment in this? Go ahead.
All right, so why I'm taking points off of this, because I have to compare this to like Troika, right? Troika's book, literally every paragraph is numbered. So you can go to section 3.2, read a rule, and in the PDF, every single section is hyperlinked, not only back to the beginning of the chapter, but also back to the table of contents.
Yeah.
And I don't think this book has. This book does not have a table of contents. Oh, I forgot. Mine's also signed with a little picture. That's drawn on. That's Adam Vass's signature, and then that's a drawing that he put in my book. Yeah.
Jealous.
Oh no. There is. Oh, I also got a World Champ Game sticker. There is a table of contents. So I'm gonna give it a 4 because the PDF is not hyperlinked.
Okay. I approve of that 4. I think it's a fine reason. I think, especially now, there's so much, like, we live in such a digital space that it almost has to be hyperlinked, but that's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah. But it's also like exploring through an art piece as you're doing it too, though. You know what I mean? So like, I get why it's kind of not, but I also like, if I could go, let's make sure it's not.
Well, actually, and also a thing to think about is that, you know, if you really want to go through what the rules say, they're in the back of the book. It's the last page.
Yeah, but like there's a difference between seeing just the bare minimum of it and reading it and the context and the examples and stuff too, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I agree that last part is absolutely necessary. No, see, so the index is not hyperlinked. So that's the only thing really that I think could knock it down is it's going to get a 4 for just not having a because how I have to do things is compared to everything else. To me, I don't know if I'll ever find a book as well structured and laid out functionally as Troika. Like,
yeah, that's very fair.
I like if it's just like, oh, what rule is that? Oh, 5.3. You know, to just turn to chapter 5, go to number 3, boom, there's the rule. And in the PDF, not only is all that stuff hyperlinked, if it references another rule or section, it hyperlinks to that section. So like if you're in an area and it says this is further expounded on in a 7.2, you click 7.2, it takes you there. I mean, you know, but as far as
I'm good with a 4. I think a 4 is appropriate for that.
But I mean, the other thing too is like, does anything stand out about just like as far as like functionality of reading the book? Does anything make it exceptional or just like standard? Like you can read the book and get the rules. You know what I mean? Does anything make it exceptional?
I think the layout of the roll tables, the approachability of the roll tables, they're very, very useful. There are roll tables and a lot of stuff, and sometimes I'm like, this isn't really that useful. Merkborg is really useful ones, obviously. And I don't know. I really like this one. I think a 4 is a good score for it. So.
I think a 4 is a good score because I'm thinking what could make it a 3 and what would make it not. I think as far as, again, function, ability to help you understand the game, all of the examples, pages of examples, breaking down all the different types of actions and stuff like that. I think that's the difference. And I think in a lot of the, like, when you roll this, it gives you, like, for example, like the example of, like, when the word, like, explodes, like, dangerous, another example. So I think that is what takes it from a 3 to a 4 for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Not being hyperlinked takes it from a 5 down, but from a regular ass book up, the number of examples, because it's not like in 5e, they say, here's 2-weapon fighting, here's an example of 2-weapon fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll say 4. Rule set and crunch. First of all, I don't think it's super crunchy. It's a very rules light game.
It's not crunchy almost at all. It's very rules light.
I think it's super rules light, and a game like this is almost what makes me want to knock Merkborg down to like a 4.5. Because I really can't think of anything in this that I don't like, but there's a couple of very small picky things I do dislike about Merkborg. Just a couple of very small little things.
Yeah.
Like encumbrance.
I mean, I think with this one, as long as you and the game master have an understanding, and the game master being fair, the game runner being fair, is like the linchpin of this rule set. but like, I mean, the whole time through, it pushes this creativity over rules, and I love that. I really enjoy that. And it's funny because I just spent the past 2 days starting to build a game that's a little bit crunchier and a little bit D28, and I'm like, man, do I want to do that? Do I want to just have a fun experience?
Hey, there's another option. So what mine is kind of leaning more towards this concept is what I want, is more of like a low prep, do as you go thing, but we'll see. So I say 5. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm really good with the 5 on this one. I really enjoy the experience that is crafted by this rule set.
Yep. I'm gonna say originality. We don't really even need to argue. We don't even.
There's no. It's a 5. It's a 5.
It's an easy
genius
5.
book.
It's a genius book. It's a genius book. It's not even a question. Okay, so price wise. So again, I have to compare it to something like.
I don't remember.
It's like $30. He actually gives a couple options. You can do a default price, a supporter price, and a hardship price. So it's like $30 default, 27 if you're dealing with hardship, 33 if you're just like, fuck yeah, I'll give you an extra $3.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, and then there's no more special editions.
So the price to me is not necessarily unfair, but what I do really appreciate is this bracketed price where he's like, hey, if you want to give a little bit extra because you have it, you can. Or hey, if it's kind of like on the edge of what you can't afford, here's a couple bucks off. Here's what I can afford to give you just because you're having a hard time. So I think that counts towards it.
Yeah, I think it counts towards it. Can you? Oh man, I was like, man, I really, because I looked in the merch section. There was no, because I'm like, fuck, I gotta have an Adam Vass shirt. You know what I mean? I got a Stars of Victory shirt.
There's a Necronautilus shirt.
That's what I would get to. I dig the World Champ game ones, but like I'm very picky about when things are on my sleeves.
Yeah. I don't like things on my sleeves. So,
but that Necronautilus shirt for $25, probably clicking on it right now to buy it when we get off stream. But the other thing too is the Stellar Remnants. I don't know where that is. As far as being able to purchase that, if it's still available.
I don't either. And I'm gonna be honest, the only reason I have it is because I have it through you. So.
Oh, because we share like a PDF?
Yeah. Because we share a Dropbox.
But so here's my thing. So when I look at a game like Merkborg, right? $25-$30 for the book, but then you also get like 3 free, like 3 or 4 at this point, different different generators. There's a character generator, a dungeon generator. There's all of the free, like everything you get from the Ferritory book, you get on the website for free. You can literally go download like a fuck ton of content directly free from their website. On top of that, there's a ton of third-party content for free on itch.io and stuff like that, right? So I think that is a 5 for me. When not only that, you get like an unplayable amount of content for just the cost of the original.
There's no way you can go through all of Merkborg. It's gonna take forever.
Right. No. So then when you get this book or the special edition book, it's like $30. Then you pay for Stellar Remnants on top of it, which is good. We didn't get a chance to go through this. We were going to go through this, but Stellar Remnants is basically this expanded content. It's a lot of combined content from like different various creators and stuff that just gives you more, like maybe another planet, maybe another character content, maybe stuff like that. We didn't get a chance to go through that, but it is cool. It is here. I do have the physical copy. And then there's stuff on each show, but a lot of that stuff, and there's a license in this game, so you can publish your own content.
Right.
So again, I have to compare things. Compared to Merkborg, it's not a 5.
Right. No, I would agree. I think for what you're getting, I would say it's actually like a 3. I think it's not a totally unacceptable price. You're getting a book, you're getting downloadable character sheets, but there's not really much else around it other than that.
Yeah, I think we gave Troika a 3, and I don't know. Troika got a knock because it's British. And the cost of the pound right now to the dollar is just not good.
And listen, we fucking hate the Brits.
Right? So, yeah. Fuck them. 1776, bitch. No, we love the Brits. I love Europe. I would be there before I'd be in America in a fucking
listen, we hate America, so we hate the United States. So
I don't hate America. I just hate the people in charge. No, well, that's let's not get into politics on this. Anyway,
You're right.
Long
Fuck
story short,
totalitarianism. Fuck fascism.
what
I'm sorry, keep
was
going.
fuck fascist? That's about it as far as politics go. You know what I mean? Just don't be a fucking fascist and we're solid. I mean, there's way more than that. But Troika, it's British, so it costs a bunch, period, because
Right.
it's worth the dollar is worth less for the book. It's shipping from Britland, which is more expensive. So we gave Troika 3. Again, I think once we do like 10, 15 of these, we might go back and revise some of the scores. To me, like D&D is like a 3. You know what I mean? Like it's like a $35 book, and that's about all you get. You don't even get a P. So I would say D&D is probably a 2 or a 1.
D&D
is a 1 or a 2.
At least a 2, or at most a 2.
Yeah. At most a 2, because you don't even get the PDF when you get the book. You have to go to D&D Beyond and get the fucking PDF.
Oh yeah, and also if you get the book and you want to use D&D Beyond stuff, hey, guess what?
Buy it.
Can I buy it on D&D Beyond?
Fuck that. So Troika got a 3. I feel like this is a little bit better than Troika, but then again, there's just not. It's standard. Like I feel like the cost of this. If you ask me how much this book costs without me knowing, I go probably like $30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it cost $30. And the same thing with Stellar Remnants. I don't think it was super expensive, but it's about what you would expect it to be. And as far as this system is concerned, I think a 3 is just like standard. Like it's not like you're getting anything crazy.
I'm very comfortable with this getting a 3. You know?
Yeah. And again, who knows if we might go back and revise Troika a little bit, just because some of their modules are like, if you want to get a book and like a module with it, you're gonna end up spending like $60. So not great. So what is that total score come out to? 5, 10, 15, 22? Is that a 22?
Yeah, 22. Pretty good.
9, 29, no, 19.
Sorry, 20.
Yeah,
22, yeah.
Oh my god. 9, 19, 20, 21, 22. That is math, friends. 22.
Real good math.
So 22 is our final score for Necronautilus, which makes it the second highest rated game that we've reviewed on this channel. Merkborg is currently sitting at a 24, potentially a 23. And that's Necronautilus. I can't fucking wait to play this. I want to play it.
Yeah,
so
we need
bad.
to play this immediately.
We were talking earlier today about potentially doing some other like actual play streams of some of the games that we look at. So I feel like this is one of the early ones I want to do, whether we do it as a 2-person game. I'd rather it be like 3 to 4 people, and we just like, even if we just, again, mission by mission, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can just have a planet, have a basic mission, go explore this and find that. And just run through the mechanics kind of, and just like once we start to feel comfortable, be like, okay, that's really cool. But I would really like to start doing, especially for smaller games like this, actual plays where people can like listen to the podcast, and then we'll be like, go check out. So this is episode 5, but go check out actual play episode 2, and you'll hear the Necronautilus actual play after we reviewed it on.
I'm down.
All right. So that's the plan. It's 11:08. That's about the end of our podcast for today. I'm still working on a sign off, but what is our plan for next week?
I don't know. What are we doing next week?
We kind of jointly picked Necronautilus, so it would be nice to announce it now, or we can just throw it up in the Discord or something.
What do you want to review next week?
I have no idea. Ooh. Why don't we do Warpland?
Oh, yeah, let's totally do Warpland. I was actually just looking at it. Yes.
Yeah, Warpland, and we can touch on NeuroCity a little bit too. It's just a different, it's the same system with a different concept. Cool. But yeah, so why don't we do Warpland next week? Really, and I got the full, so I got like the bonus little book with it too and shit.
Yeah.
But we'll do Warpland next week. For those that don't know what it is, we'll post more information about that on our Discord and all that kind of stuff. We'll post this score on our Discord. Once we get the Instagram up and running, we'll start working on a logo. All of these scores will be on there, so I'll make a new Necronautilus page. I've already got pages for all the games we've done so far, which I think is it's Merkborg, which you weren't there for me for that. It's Troika, which I did. Yeah, but Troika I did by myself. And then you and I did Lancer together, and then we just did Necronautilus. So this is episode 5 because it took 2 for me to do Troika. But that's it. So that's Necronautilus. That's Adam Vass. Fucking awesome content creator.
Amazing.
Go check his stuff out.
Honestly, this was such a joy to read through. It was unbelievably good.
Go buy this book. I'm gonna put the link in the VOD so you guys can click on it. We'll drop the link into the Discord, which I have to start being better about. Go buy this book. It's so fucking good. Play this game. And when you go to the website for World Champ games, buy all the rest of them too, because they're totally worth it.
Yeah.
So that's a podcast for today. So I'm Ryan.
I'm Hunter.
And we're leaving. No, that's terrible.
Good night, Ryan.
Well, yeah. Good day. Yeah, there it is. That's how we do the sign off. The whole good night, good day thing. You just be like, all right, good night, Ryan. I'll be like, all right, good day, Hunter, or good morning. What do you want to do?
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. So that is.
We'll get this down eventually, y'all.
Yeah. That is the weekly scroll here on the Adventure Archive. And that is the end of our podcast today. So good morning, Hunter.
Good night, Ryan.
Have a good one, y'all. Bye.